Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to WOR Legacy Division. We are here tonight for season number 5. It is round 5 of the championship as we take in the Qatar Grand Prix from the Lusail International Circuit. I was about to say the Zakia International Circuit, but that was last week. My name is James Head. I'm going to be taking through the stream, of course, as always, on this fine Tuesday evening. Joining me in the comment box should be Josser. He is just joining, I believe, on his Wi-Fi. And as you can tell, with that disconnection, he is swapping over to his Wi-Fi right now. He is in the lobby, so we can get going very soon indeed. But what we will do is have a run through of the race standings coming into tonight and the race results even from last week. And it was a CPI dominant, I'm going to say, last week. It was brilliantly team tactic, and Uppbeat in the end taking the win by 0.2 of a second over Matteo in second, who was missing out on the podium, however. Mbarak, he picked up a 3-second penalty, dropped all the way down into 8th position as a result of that 3 wide, as I mentioned to Jota after the session. We had that 3 wide scenario down in towards turn 1. That's what he got the penalty for. Mbarak overtaking within the goal sting. So Mbarak dropping down to 8th. Uppbeat out on top, of course, for Matteo in second. Gatkowski there in third. A great night for CPI. It will be interesting to see, though, how these guys cope, of course, from Sakia down into Lusail, and, of course, transitioning between countries from Bahrain to Qatar. And let's have a look at the standings, because for the first time ever in WOR Legacy Division, CPI Esports lead the championship on 142 points. Team Chazua in second on 136, but is very tight right at the top end of the standings. You've got 22 points separating the top 4 teams. Top Team Motorsport in third on 122. Bunga Racing Team only 2 points behind them in fourth, right on the cusp, potentially, of getting a good result here tonight. They're down in fourth on 120 points. E-Tater in fifth on 85, then TRT are in 6th on 80, Novus Racing Team in 7th on 73, Team TF10 on 8th on 61, and then a bit of a jump down to Avisio there in 9th on 37, and then Future Racing Team in 10th on 26 points. Now that I've waffled on a bit, Joss should be alongside me in the comment box.
Yeah, certainly am. Nice to be alongside you for this one. I think it's going to be interesting off the back of what you're saying. Another week and another new championship leader, Phoenix Igniters. You rightfully point out, first time ever in their history that they're leading this particular championship, and not undeserved either. They've been really, really rampant throughout this this season so far. So looking forward to seeing what they've got. 3 podiums now this season as well. Of course, that double podium in the last round in Bahrain. So now over to Qatar, and the drivers are going to be very keen to get going in this qualifying session.
Yeah, it would have only been, remember, with Uppbeat getting the race win, Mabak was on the podium. He got that 3-second penalty, though, so he did drop down into 8th position. Really unfortunate, because we would have liked to see him on the podium. We gave him that podium interview, and then it got robbed out of him, which is very unfortunate indeed. But what we can do is show you... Oh, I thought I clicked on the track map there. We can show you the track, though, out on track. And it is, of course, F1 24 cars, as it was last week. We are back to the glorified brilliance, I'm going to say, of these F1 24 cars. And the first man out on track is going to be Tech of BRT. And BRT have been going along pretty well in other team events. EML on last Wednesday, very, very good showing from them. Tech was part of that lineup, I believe, in Britain as well. Alongside BRT Justin, who picked up a P2 at Silverstone on Wednesday night as well. So BRT have got a bit of good form coming into tonight, especially with Justin, who was looking to try and get out of Q1 for the first time.
Yeah, Justin will be wanting to show his worth within the Bunga Racing Team as well. I know he's obviously a quality driver. It's just at the moment his pace is not quite up to the scratch that we would have expected, perhaps from a team looking to try and take a championship. So no disrespect to Justin, he is a very quick driver, but this will be, I think, possibly a bit of a make or break race actually for him, as he's just getting himself ready for what is actually a very difficult circuit. Is Qatar. It's usually a circuit that we would expect, you know, the free-flowingness to be of the benefit to the wheel users, but nonetheless, he will be one to watch alongside Tech. And I'm going to be keeping a firm eye on Bell Belby as well, actually. Fantastic race, wasn't it, last week for Bell Belby in Bahrain? So it just hops over to Qatar, and hopefully we'll be wanting to make a better result as well for the Avisio guys in Malta.
Yeah, and Lafiti, of course, alongside him for the EVE team as well. We'll get to the grid in just a minute, but Tech is on the run down and towards turn 1. let's take you on board, albeit on a set of intermediate compounder tyres on the lap of the Qatar International Circuit, or the Sail International Circuit, as we come now down into the right-hander of turn number 1. These tyres will absolutely slide their way through the corners, so do not be surprised, of course, if they are not on the pace, which they won't be. They're on a set of inters. As Tech there comes to the left-hand of turn 2, through 3 and 4, and then in towards my favourite section out on the track. This double right-hander coming through turn 5, then through the right-hander turn number 6. You get that wrong, you get it on the AstroTurf on the outside line, and it will really bring the car now down in towards turn number 7, pretty much off camber. And we see there a lock up from Tech, 31 flat, I think that was, in the first sector, but he is absolutely slipping and sliding like a sliding little snake coming through the left-hander there of turn number 8, now through in towards turns 9 and 10, and Tech looking to try and do the Techers out on track. He is currently out on top, of course, in terms of the qualifying session, currently on a valid lap as well, but his middle sector is going to be around about my middle sector around here, 58.9 in the middle sector there from Tech. He is on that set of intermediate compounder tyres, so that is why we are looking at that. Apparently the audio was out of sync, so I will just try and fix that very neatly indeed. There we go. Should be fixed. Tech there into the right-hander of turn number 16, of course, with a new reprofiled layout, of course, here in Qatar, with the pit lane on the right-hand side as they come down the start-finish straight. It's a much shorter run down in towards the start-finish line as well, and 23.6 to Tech to start off the night.
Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, just keep an eye out. Obviously, the drivers just setting their initial laps. Brando came across the line with a 23.7, so about 10th down on Tech. But remember, of course, these lap times, nothing really to consider, as of course they're on the intermediate. More lap times coming in though. Jeslar, CPI 24.0, beaten by Mustache, the top tier motorsport driver, in second place as well with that 23.9, 3/10 down. Guillaume comes across the line, goes second fastest, 23.7 of his own, actually matching his teammate. As he comes across the finishing line, although with a valid lap time, unlike his teammate. Mubarak also on a lap as well. TTM are expecting big things from Mubarak as well. Good race from Mubarak last week. Unfortunate that he received the penalty, but he's currently just navigating his way gingerly, I'd have to say, through the first sector, going through your favourite set of corners and invalidating his lap time. Curiously, my favourite set of corners, by the way, James, turns 12 through 14. You'd think you need to break through those, but these cars are just able to hold on very neatly through those that complex. I'm looking forward to a bit of racing round there, I would hope.
Yeah, triple right-hander, that is, of course, in through the middle sector into the final sector, and those are corners that I've been robbed of around this track as well. I did on F1 23, I think it was. My last league race that I ever did was around here in Qatar. We had full wet conditions, which was very, very neat indeed. It was not published by the game whatsoever in terms of the conditions. It was 100% rain throughout the race. I was leading the race and then got robbed by a late safety car. So I nearly won around this track. That's about as much as claim to fame as I can put on this live stream, potentially, in terms of my driving. But these drivers out on track, of course, are more talented than us two in the commentary box. Tech out on top from Guillaume there in second, Mustache there in third. I feel like I've just done Jota a bit of a disservice there with him being in WOR assists last season as well. But we are on board with a lap even with Belbelli. I think he's going to go again on another run, but you can see not many drivers set lines on the board. Everyone will be going out on a set of soft compounder tyres. And we should expect drivers to be in and around the 118s, 119 marks, I think, when they go on a set of softs.
Yeah, we would expect something in and around that sort of realm. We're still waiting on people to leave on a set of soft tyres. Everyone who's elected to do an intermediate lap is now back in, so we would expect the soft tyres to be going on imminently. I was saying that, actually. We've got Belbelby still doing a lap at the moment in the first sector. Looks like he's just trying to set initial barriers with a 31.2. Obviously, again, nothing to really pay attention to whilst they're on that intermediate tyre, but Tech immediately switching straight over to the soft tyre, as did Gian as well, so plenty of drivers that were on the intermediate switching very quickly over to that soft tyre to get ready for the first, what will be the first set of real runs in this first qualifier around the Lusail International Circuit.
Yeah, you'll see in the bottom right-hand side of your corner as well on the mini-map, you'll see the drivers begin to filter out the pit lane very soon indeed. Belbelby very wide there through 13, then through the right-hand return number 14. He is looking good. He was a 31.2 in the first sector. Didn't quite catch what his middle sector like, and I'm definitely not going to catch what his final sector's like either, because it's just invalidated. Coming out of turn number 15, then through the right-hand return number 16, he'll be bailing that back into the pit lane. But you can see that real squirm that these tyres actually have around this on this compounder tyre, on this set of intermediates. almost as if they're a set of hard compounded ties. FRT Dan there has left the session. Hopefully we can get him back in very, very shortly indeed. But the drivers will begin to filter out the pit lane very soon indeed. What I can bring your attention to, though, just while we've got a little bit of break in the action, is who is racing tonight. You might have already seen them in terms of the left-hand side of your screen, but let's have a look in graphic format in terms of who is racing tonight. TTM have got the brilliant team, I've got to say, of Mubarak and Mustache. Mustache, hopefully, not going to be growing any hairs by the end of tonight. The PT there alongside Belby for EVE in the Mercedes, and then it's TRT Gian and Brando in for the Ferraris. Jeslo and Urpek in there for CPI. Slightly weaker lineup as what they could have potentially fielded. Mateo still with 3 Ts in the graphic alongside Casper Flack there for ET8. Oscar and Cameron for Team Chazoo in the Alpines, and then it's Dan and Sam in for the Williams for FRT. Dirk and Max, which I think is a very strong lineup for Team TF10 tonight. Max is very good around this track. He'll be one to watch out for. BRT Justin and Tech alongside each other, of course, in the Kick Saubers, and then Quantum and Choco. NVR looking to try and boost back from their really, really poor qualifying session in Bahrain. Hopefully trying to bite back here tonight with Choco and Quantum alongside each other there. I've waffled on enough. The drivers are about to filter out on track, and speaking of the NVR man, he's the first man out on track.
Yeah, certainly is. And Quantum, obviously, you rightfully was just about to mention, he had a really, really poor, didn't he, qualified, a poor race generally for Novus Racing, and they're so off the pace, aren't they, at the moment, are the Novus team. They're down in 7th in the standings overall, and a team that was actually considered to be the front runner, really, last season, weren't they? So far off the pace, and how hard they fall at the moment, and Quantum will be looking to bounce back after what was a really poor race for the team in the last round, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he can actually generate some good results for the team in the Haas outfit. And I've just had a notification on my phone about Tuchel becoming England manager, so I'm now jumping for joy in that one. So I'm just going to take a step back and just absorb that news.
A German in charge of an English team. Who would have thought to see the day, potentially? But anyways, if that is official, that is absolutely official. You've heard it here first on this live stream. Quantum, however, though, he is a Brit, and he is now coming into the left-hand return number 15, and we'll see what the MVR man can do. As you alluded to, Novus Racing have been nothing short of, can I say disastrous, I think, in terms of how they've approached the season. I think that they need Washley and Bowman, I think, back potentially in terms of the second quarter of this season. Well, right on board with Quantum, it is his first soft run, and he's now running down in towards turn number 1. Mubarak, by the way, is going to go on another run very soon indeed. But Quantum on the run now down in towards turn number 1. Braking just after the 50-metre ball, getting the car rotated in, very deep line coming through turn number 1, then through the left-hander now of turn number 2. Instantly, you will see drivers really finding time. Quantum, though, invalid. Too wide approach coming through turn 2, and he is very unhappy with that.
Yeah, very unhappy. He's going to have to get out of the way quickly, though, because he's got a very quick Jeslar coming up here. He had a great race, didn't he, in the last round in Bahrain. Oh, a little bit of a tax off, perhaps a bit of dirty air coming off the back. In fact, no, there won't be any dirty air, of course, because these drivers have got no ghosting, full ghosting, rather, on at the moment. Cameron Downs has left the session, so fingers crossed we can get him back in quickly, because we're going to need him, desperately need him in this one as well for Shazoo in the Alpine. Keeping a firm eye, though, on Jeslar as he's just going around the complex, heading towards turn 9, and it's going to be fairly critical here for CPI to continue in their form, because you know what, they're actually well deserved of their position at the moment. Now coming through my favourite set of corners, through 12, then through 13, then through 14. You can keep that car, keep the foot planted to the acceleration pedal if you dare do so. Going through the left-hander then and keeping it planted through 15. Then, of course, at the end of 16, where it will be the first soft lap time will be set by the CPI man. As long as it doesn't track extend here, perfectly taken. And it will be a bit more conservative lap time. Takes the DRS zone out, DRS sign out rather, and is beaten immediately by Mubarak by 0.2 of a second. And TTM making it a 1-2 so far, but plenty of lap times coming in thick and fast.
They are indeed. Urpek through the middle sector, 56.7, so he's up there in terms of his teammate. He's going to be around Oscar, Mustache, Jeslar, that sort of area potentially. Belby is flying as well. We've just seen Cameron Dad, I think, take control of his car. We'll run on board with Belby if we can find him. There he is, coming through the middle sector. And he's on the run towards the left-hander now, turn number 10, as FLT Dan comes in with a 20.6. So good luck from him. We'll go on board with Urpek. He's actually invalidated through the final couple of corners on the run to line. Would have been a 20.8. He would have been around about his teammate, in fact, ahead of his teammate, I think. That would have been Quantum 31.1 in the first sector. Right on board though with Belby, 56.8 in the middle sector, and he's looking pretty good. He's running low on fuel as well, which is going to be a big advantage to try and have low fuel runs, equal better resistance equal better
brave.
times
Wow.
out on track as Dan, Mubarak and Guillen currently the top three. Now coming through the right-hander with Belby. He's absolutely flying on this lap time. On the run to the line, should be quicker than Dan. 20.5? Oh,
0.8.
20.8! That looked quicker than what it should have been.
Yeah, I think he might have lost a little bit of time in the third sector by the looks of things. I'll just get back in touch with you about that one and just have a look. But 1,000th of a second down on Oscar in 10th. Belby just sneaking through to Q2 as it stands with that one, but plenty of people yet to improve. Choco well off the pace with that 21.0, so he will be coming across the line to have another go at this one. Of course, Quantum will be coming across the line, 20.8 for himself as well. Cameron Dow's looking to set a lap time. He's just on his out lap after disconnecting earlier on. Uppbeat, though, still invalidated. Invalidated his first attempt. He's invalidated his second attempt, and he's also in fuel-saving mode as well, because as you can see there, at the bottom of your screens, that little fuel symbol is no longer flashing. It is solid, so now he's got absolutely no power whatsoever. He's going to be wasting time to try and get into the pit lane as quickly as he possibly can and get on a fresh set of boots and get out there and not put CPI under pressure. Jeslar also out as it stands so far. The championship leaders early in a little bit of trouble potentially.
Potentially so. Apologies, by the way. My laptop has just tanked and my CPU is now running at 50% for some reason. There we are. It's now beginning to go back down, so we should be all fine. Cameron Dowd's now on the run in towards turn number 1. Let's see what this season's Flying Scotsman can do around here in Qatar. He has had decent qualifying around here in the past. He's looking to try and out-qualify the likes of potentially Belby, Oscar, Quantum. Around about the mid-pack I'm expecting him to be on this run as he now comes in toward the right-hander now of turn number 4 and then through the right-hander of turn 5. Brando happy with his lap time. Cameron Dowd certainly happy with his first sector so far. Should be running 32. 29.9 in the first sector. Cameron Dowd is absolutely stonking on this lap time so far. Looking to try and put all of those hoodlums to potentially in the back burner for here tonight with Cameron Dowd in his qualifying sessions. Absolutely flying now, coming through the right hand of turn number 9, then through the left hand of turn number 10, down at Brando Mubarak, Guillen currently at top 4. But Cameron Dowd is well and truly up there in terms of these guys. His middle sector certainly going to be something special. 56.8 is not special, however, through the middle sectors. He has lost a bit of time, maybe through the left hand of turn number 10, now through the right hand of 14, in towards now the left hand of turn number 15. We'll see what the Flying Scotsman can do, or nearly invalidates coming out of turn 15, right on the limit, losing a bit of time now in towards turn 16. Cameron Dowd on the run to the line for Team Chazoo. Is it going to be Miracle Man? Cameron Dowd on the run to the line. He goes second, 20.7. Cameron Dowd, welcome back in qualifying.
Yeah, welcome back. Cameron Dowd's indeed. Not the best second sector, but I think the first sector and third sector made up more than enough for that one. So big up to FRT, by the way, as it stands so far. They'll both be going through to Q3. We've got another Q to be between that and this one at the moment. So that's certainly one to watch. CPI still yet to send their drivers out. In fact, they've just set out Jeslar now. Uppbeat just leaving the pit lane. Well, just leaving his pit box rather right now. So, yeah, championship leaders still in a little bit of early trouble. And unfortunately, Novus Racing also in trouble with Choco at the moment, down in 19th. Again, remember, not a representative lap time, so plenty of time still to find, I'm sure, for Choco. And the boys as well in ET8 as well, down in 16th and 17th. Definitely more pace to find for them as well. So, a little bit of a topsy-turvy kind of grid at the moment. So this might make for a little fun occasion, I think.
Not saying that there's a bit of deja vu potentially about what CPI are doing right now. They were first and third last week, and now they're 18th and 20th in Q1. So it has literally gone from hero to zero in the matter of a week. Of course, there's still 2 minutes to go in this qualifying session. But for me, as I said earlier on, I think they could have fielded a much stronger lineup. Uppbeat is a very good driver on his day. Same with Jeslar. They're both very, very consistent. But in the end, they have to try and find the time from somewhere, and it'll be very interesting to see whether or not they can find the time. Same with the ET8 boys, Casper Flack and Mateo. I thought that was a very strong lineup coming into tonight. And then the 16th and 17th, Mateo's qualifying, letting himself down. He's much stronger around here in the race. Picked up a podium, I believe, in PSGL, PSF1 around here as well. Casper Flack, again, very good driver, but they really need to find something. As does this man here, Max von der Geese, normally Night Rider, as we call him in PSF1. Now on the run towards turn number 5 and 6 through towards the end of this first sector split. TF10 man looking to try and follow in the footsteps of Dirk. He's currently in P9. Max von der Geese first sector, 29.8, already a 10th up on Cameron Dowd in the first sector.
Yeah, not too bad actually. They're going through the right-hander then for Max van der Geest, losing a little bit of time, missing his apex ever so slightly. He'll come out wide, so he'll lose a little bit of time all the way through these next set of corners until the next braking zone, which is right here. Chuck the car through the left-hander. Oh, the rear just not feeling, the front not looking too confident. He is trying to chuck the car in, and the grip's just not quite there at the moment. So perhaps a couple of clicks on the front wing might fix him on that scenario. But a tenth and a half up in the second sector, so he is improving, but there's certainly more pace to find as he just keeps the car planted through the left-hander. On the limits indeed from Max van der Geest. Perfect for TF10. Going through turn 16, and the man will be looking to try and improve, get himself out of that danger zone. P14 is not where he wants to be. 20.4 is what the Mystic James calls. 20.6, but fastest of anyone so far.
Yeah, I was thinking that's going to be around a 20.4, but in the end, 20.6. Max von der Geest out on top. Choco looks like he's done for NVR. Is he going to get another run in? He's invalidated coming through the final couple of corners. I think he's fine. Going to go on another run now, but Choco leaving it very late indeed from getting an invalidated run there down in 19th as there. Jeslar ends up in P18. He's actually now coming through the final couple of corners. So Jeslar now on the run to the line. Is this going to be good for CPI? I think he's down on his time here. He is down on his time. No, he goes 2 tenths quicker, 20.7. Really difficult to find out. Oscar now goes quickest there. Urpek is out of the session, it seems. Dirk and Sam now coming through the final couple of corners. Sam certainly improving for FRT. He's very low on EOS on the run to the line, and he does go into third position. So good lap time from him. Urpek, you mentioned there, is out of the session, invalidated. So is Choco. He's also invalidated. Lafiti, potentially for EVE to try and get out. He's knocked his teammate out. Belby is out of the session. Quantum there potentially is out of the session as well. In fact, he is out of the session. So Lafiti, if he can improve, he could knock Dirk out here. Dirk, I believe, is coming through the middle sector somewhere. Lafiti, though, on the run toward the line. Is this good for EVE? Yes, it is. He goes fourth. Brilliant lap time from him. Casper Flack up against it as well. Dirk on the run to the line in 8th. And Casper Flack is actually down. So Casper Flack will not be improving on this run, surely. Coming through the left-hander, he's in the first sector, so Casper Flack's definitely not improving. That's the end of qualifying. It is Oscar out on top, Max von der Geest there in second, Sam there in third. So very interesting to see. In the end, though, CPI with Urpek out of the session, and it looks like potentially he's got a problem with COVID and pedal issues. So he seems like he's got 2 going wrong from indeed, the man who, of course, won the race last week in Bahrain is down at the back end of the field. And if he's got COVID, I fully respect him racing, even if CPI didn't even want to field another replacement from.
Yeah, respect to him for that one for sure. It's a shame, though, that Urpek is out. Choco 19th, Belby in shock circumstances, out-qualified by Lafiti as well. Not to disrespect Lafiti, but you would have expected Belby to be through to Q2, no issue at all, but he's out and will start P18. And what is unfortunately no surprises for Novus Racing, both out in Q1. Tech will be breathing a sigh of relief. He's through by only 2 thousandths of a second versus Casper Fike. And you know what? Looking towards the front, who would have thought, James, that the front 2 teams at the end of Q1 would be Team Shazoo and Future Racing Team?
Yeah, very intriguing indeed. Obviously, with Max von der Geest there as well, with Team TF10, Lafiti there as well for EVE. And then somehow Matteo pulls out a 20.6, and I didn't even recognise that he actually improved on his lap time. But Matteo there in 5th position, ahead of Cameron Dowds. These two now beginning to find their groove, potentially. Remember, with the change and with the patch update recently, they have gone with the ERS. The ERS is now back to 4 millijoules a second, I think it is, rather than 8, which it was. It was a change that was wrongly identified by Codemasters. They fixed it, of course, in the last patch update, which means they've got a little bit less ERS to use, and that's why you're seeing a very tight grid right now. And it is Oscar out on top for Max von der Geest there in second. Sam, well above expectations, I think, from my perspective, there in third. Lafiti there in fourth, with Matteo there in fifth. Dan there in sixth, with Cameron Dowds in seventh, Dirk in eighth, Brando in ninth. And then Mabak ran off the top 10. Watch out for him, potentially, in qualifying. Gian, Justin, Jeslar, Mustache, and Tech all make it through. 2 thousandths of a second, as you mentioned there, between himself and Casper Flack. And then as Quantum, Belby, Choco, and Urpek, all 5 of them in the grey, are out of the session early on. And also, Luke Humphries has just came in the Discord saying Typical would have made that a 1-2. Of course, Typical has left FRT as per a couple of days ago. I think it was on Monday this was announced. In fact, that was yesterday. I think that was announced. And I have been told, I'm not sure if it's been announced yet, but I'm just going to say it anyways, he is going to another Xbox team. And I will leave you guessing as to who.
I'll leave you guessing to that one as we leave guessing who's actually going to be the front 10 through to Q2, because looking at this, honestly, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? Looking at that top 5, they're all from different teams, and then start off then after that would be Team Shazoo, then FRT. So both of those teams you would expect probably should be through to the top 10 based purely on Q1 performance, but beyond that, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, we've got only one of the ET8 boys through, as the one was knocked out. Of course, both of the Novus Racing drivers are also out. Team Shazoo have got both of their drivers through. So, yeah, you know what? It's really up in the air about who the bottom 5 are going to be, you know. And I think if it is going to be a knockout for some of these drivers, we're going to be talking thousandths of a second, aren't we?
We are. I think, honestly, you could see... I'm going to call it now. Maybe the likes of Dirk, maybe both TRT drivers I'm thinking could be knocked out. I'm also thinking Max von der Geese potentially could be knocked out. I think Mustache could be knocked out. If that's my 5 that I'm going for, then so be it. BRT potentially could be knocked out. It is wide open, is what I'm basically trying to say. Yeah. Completely wide open in this qualifying session. FGE, by the way, is the team that Typical has joined for, and FGE, of course, are racing in EML Console Tier 2 tomorrow night as well. So I may as well just throw out a little bit of self-promotion. I'm not on commentary. We can go and watch Typical potentially making his racing debut there in FGE for the final 3 rounds of the season. But Tech is the first man out on track, and the BRT man will be looking to try and get himself into Q3 once again. Let's see what he can do out on track. And that comes through the final corner. I'll leave this one up to you.
Oh, no, that's invalidated immediately, yeah. Saw that one as he's going through the final corner, did a massive lock-up, and instead of just bailing out on it and going for it again, he's just proceeded to just take the corner regardless. And actually, he's a driver that's going to be at risk as Tech, because he didn't have really the best run, did he? In Q1, so I think he is going to be a driver at risk. I'm surprised that he's even considering going on this lap regardless. So they've just gone for a second warm-up, but nonetheless he's going to go for it anyway. Next driver to set a lap time, nonetheless that will be legal, will actually be TF10's Dirk. Never mind, he's just invalidated exactly as I said that. Well, let's find another person to invalidate the lap for. Should we go with FRT Dan? Let's go with FRT Dan, actually, because he's a little bit back the order. He's going to go through the right-hander. A very quick driver is tonight, actually, he's a Future Racing Team driver. He's always been a quick driver, FRT. He's a bit the Stig of the FRT team, really, isn't he? Is FRT Dan. He's been doing really well this season. This game cycle actually doing quite well for the Brit, as he's now heading through the right-hander. And at the moment, looking like he's just on a U set of softs, not really pushing too hard, and hopefully not getting too much of a distraction from the ghost car in front.
Yeah, he is not getting too much of a distraction, but he is getting a little bit of slipstream, which is going to try and affect him now coming through this middle sector. 57 flat, he's definitely on the U-side of compounded tyres. Now coming through the right-hander there of turn 13. Now through the right-hander now of turn number 14. We'll see, of course, what Dan can do on this lap time. Apologies, by the way, if it is just lagging slightly. My CPU, once again, is going through the roof. As Dan now comes into the final couple of corners. Cameron Dowd's there with a 21 flat, so not a bad lap time at all from him. FLT Dan now on the run toward the line as well. We'll see what his lap time is going to be. He goes third in the end, 21.1. Tech obviously is done on lap time. Brando, 57.4 in the middle sector, so nowhere near. FLT Sam, however, could be jumping ahead of Cameron Dowds here on the run to the line. And he does go 6th in the end, 21.1. It's very difficult for us to even realise who was going quicker in lap time. Brando, as I say, 27.4 in the first sector, not looking good now through coming through the right-hander of the final couple of corners. If I can get my words out, that'll be brilliant. Brando on the run to the line, 21.6 in the end. Well off what we expect from the TRT man. He potentially looks like he could be in trouble. BRT also starting up on runs as well. I think Justin is on a run, but Cameron Dowd currently top in the session for the first time in Qatar since PSGL PSF1 season 36.
Dirk's struggling out there at the moment. He's not looking comfortable on these old set of softs. I don't know if he's burnt through them more aggressively than the rest of them, but the rear end just not with him at all. And then he tries to put the car through the front end, as Justin has just invalidated as well, going through those set of corners. Oh, he's got a lot of people and a lot of traffic getting out of the way there. Justin caught completely off guard, so he might try and say people distracted him there. I think he ended up invalidating on his own accord, but plenty of people just getting in the way there, and I don't think it's going to cause any massive issues. But unfortunately, that did include what seemed to be, I think, Shazoo Oscar in there as well as perhaps Mubarak. I'm not sure. So plenty of drivers all in that field there that might be just in a little bit of trouble. We'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. So, Urpek apparently is going to win, according to LeBron Buki there in the chat. Apology. Of course, he's got COVID and pedal issues. So, if that's the case, then he's going to work an absolute miracle, and CPR will be hoping to work an absolute miracle with him as well. I think add on track. With regards to your FRT statement, by the way, as well, I think it was with Dan you were on board with 21.1. The Williams man obviously looking to try and improve. Sam there down in 7th position. They were well up there, I've got to say, in terms of Q2, in terms of the end of Q1. Now, obviously, into Q2, it's a whole different kettle of fish. Everyone was on a set of used compounder tyres. So, with everyone being on that used set, I am thinking potentially that we are going to see drivers improving, what, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7/10 a lap, I think, going on their fresh runs.
Mustache invalidating his lap as well. He was on an out lap though, thankfully. So he's obviously trying to test the waters. Sorry to change the subject briefly. I'm just keeping a firm eye actually on Mustache. I'm not particularly sure about Mustache's performance. I'll be perfectly candid. So it's going to be interesting to see how his race develops, especially alongside a big name such as Mubarak, because obviously in the last race as well, TTM fielded a very strong lineup, and Mubarak, though was the lead driver, definitely wasn't absolutely running away with it versus his teammate on that occasion. So TTM, of course, remember, they're looking to try and get the championship lead back. They had the championship lead earlier in the season. They managed to reclaim it at the end of last week, and then penalties meant that they've lost it again. So they really want it back, surely.
Definitely so. I'm looking through the chat as well. Danny Van Mouten's there in the chat. My PC will be installed tomorrow. Probs a friend will do it for me. But he's going on PC, which is interesting, I think. Obviously, he has, I believe, signed up for Console Tier 1, for PSGL, PSF1, if I'm not mistaken as well. Mustache takes out the DRS detection board there on the run down in towards turn number 1. Let's see what the Frenchman can do for TTM. Alongside Mubarak, of course, here tonight for TTM. And Mustache coming through now the right-hand return number 1. We'll see what this lap time is going to be and if it bears any relevance towards what is going to happen toward the end of this session. But Mustache is looking good through turns 2, 3 and 4. Now into the double right of turns 5 and 6. This is where it will begin to go all wrong potentially, but it's much better for Mustache through the first sector. But he, to me, 29.9 doesn't seem that quick if he's on a fresh set. Oh, he's definitely not quick, and he's invalid through turn 7.
Yeah, Tank Slapper well caught, but unfortunately goes out of track limits to try and save it in that scenario. Yeah, I was saying it wasn't too bad going through the 4, 5, 6 complex, but unfortunately the first few corners he just did not get that right at all. He missed his apex going through 1, and then through 2 and 3 he left so much time on the table. So there's definitely more available to Mustache than what he's currently delivering, and obviously his benchmark by far will be Mubarak, who's just about to get going with his lap, as now he's approaching into turn 1 right now, but plenty of other drivers on at laps as well looking to try and improve.
Yeah, Tech was looking good in the first sector, 30 flat, I think that was through the first sector from him. We'll go on board with Mubarak though, coming through the right-hander at turn number 1, then through into the left-hander of turn number 2. It is Cameron Dowd from Keane from Max Von der Geese, the top 3. Do not take those lap times. Literally, they are not going to be those lap times toward the end of this qualifying session in Q2, put it that way. Mubarak now coming through the right-hander to turns number 5 and 6, then through turn number 7, catches a little bit of a lag spike, I think, coming through turn 6 there. 29.9 in the first sector, quicker than Tech through that first sector, so I think he's the quickest out of everyone so far, as now comes in toward the right-hander of turn number 8. Goodness me, I thought he was going to go sideways going through the corner there. Tech on the front line, 20.6, so that is going to be Mubarak's benchmark. But if he hugs the curb like that and runs the curb again, coming through turns 12, 13 and 14, he is not going to be improving on this run. Mubarak's middle sector, 56.6. Oscar, 20.4. Very good lap time from the Chazoo man. Goes quickest for now. Tech, Lafiti, Cameron Dowd's coming in the top 4. Many drivers on a lap time. They're still on board with Mubarak though. Coming to the left-hander, turn 15. Then in toward the right-hander now, turn number 16. We'll see what Mubarak can do. Is it a special lap from the TTM man? Now coming through the final couple of corners on the run to the line. Should go ahead, I think, of Max Von der Geest. And in the end goes behind Tech in the end, 20.6. So actually, Tech's lap time and Mubarak's lap time, pretty comparative.
Yeah, but Mubarak's lap time, I think, is comparable of that of on an old soft. I don't think he was on new softs, I'll be honest with you. It just didn't look comfortable going through the corners. Turn the car and the front end would just be a bit wiggly, and it's like it's trying to tank slap on. It's such a weird thing. I don't know if the track perhaps has devolved a little bit as well. I'm not sure. It just doesn't feel quite as fast as what it was in Q1, despite the fact that we've got 20.4s coming in at the moment, and 20.5s as we've got Tech, Dirk coming across the line as well. 20.6, he needed that as well because he's been on a bit of an invalid run at the moment, so it puts Mubarak under pressure. Justin also on the brink, but Lafiti, sorry, absolutely on the trail. It was always going to happen, wasn't it? It's putting Latifi and Lafiti in there. Of course it was going to happen. Dan looking to improve, though. He's in the 21.1s. He's, of course, got a fresh set of soft tyres on, I would expect, at this point. Chucking the car through the left-hander. He's about to finish his lap then, going through turn 16. Pretty important lap here for Dan. Is he going to set the precedent to say FRT really are at risk? No, straight into the pit lane. So definitely got more pace to find, and I wouldn't expect Dan in the bottom 5.
Yeah, so it was middle sector split, and it was 2 seconds down through the middle sector, so down there, down in 12th position. Plenty of drivers, but plenty of people there in the chat saying that Danny Van Routen's got a long neck. It's probably because of all the karting that he does, to be honest. I'm not going to throw any shots at the PSGL PSF1 man, and 3-time karting champion, of course, in real life. Just thought I'd get that in there before anybody decides to kick off about whether he's relevant in this chat or not. But it is Oscar out on top, Guy in there in second, Matteo there in third. For me, the big shocks, I think, so far this session, Brando obviously not getting a lap time on the board. They're down in 14th position. Mustache not feeling confident enough to go on another run potentially as well. But then Matteo and Cameron Dowds, for me, are huge shocks because they are very inconsistent around this track in terms of qualifying. Matteo and Cameron, 3rd and 5th position, separated by 400th of a second. Normally when I see them in traditional league racing, we see Matteo halfway down the field. We see Cameron Dowds sometimes halfway down the field as well. And in the end, they're 3rd and 5th on a track that they don't normally do well at in qualifying. So it is really intriguing to see, and that I think is going to set a very good precedent for anybody like me who wants to see 2 PSGL PSF1 champions and Matteo and Cameron Dowds going at it. Cameron Dowds, of course, Constructors champion alongside Tom this season, and Matteo, of course, wrapping up the Drivers' Championship in season 36 as well. Speaking of Matteo, he's just retired from the session, but it's Oscar out on top, Gian in second, Matteo there in third. Big lap times needed, though, for Lafiti, Jesler, Dan, Sam, Brando, and Mustache. All of them definitely need to go again, as do Tech, Dirk, Mubarak, Justin. And do you know what? I'll even say this. I don't think Cameron Dowds is safer than 20.5.
I don't think 20.5. I was about to say that as well. Top 8 teams, top 8 places. Sorry, 6 different teams in the top 8. So that's also, I think, a precedent setter as well. In that it's going to be a really mixed bag here tonight, and I would expect that things are going to be ultimately an extremely close endeavour in both qualifying and in the race trim. So Mubarak testing the limits immediately on his outlap and invalidating in the first sector. So Mubarak's just got to try and find a bit more confidence in the car a little bit. I do believe he was on an old set of soft tyres on that 20.6. He didn't feel like the more confident Mubarak that I would expect from him here. So I think there's a bit more pace to find potentially in the TTM man, and of course Mustache has definitely got loads of time to find as he's yet to set one at the moment. I'm expecting Dan also to be up there as well. Jeslar should improve as well, but this is, you know, it's all up in the air again about who could be knocked out here. I think Justin's not safe, I think Tech's not safe, and I think you're absolutely spot on. I don't think Cameron Dowds is safe either.
Yeah, definitely. So, Danny Van Routen, by the way, said he needs to go to the gym. Don't. Come and watch WOR Legacy Division instead. Just say you're busy or something. Mubarak now coming to the right-hander at turn number 16. On the run toward the line now then with the TTM, and we'll see what he can do on this lap time. He really does, like, seize in the limelight, I've got to say, Mubarak. He's going for another run down in towards turn number 1. Tech also behind him as well. BRT very wide coming out of turn number 1. That is him surely already messing up in terms of this lap time, and back through turn number 2. The pressure may be getting to Mubarak there through turns 2 and 3, then towards turn 4, now in towards the double right at turns 5 and 6. He can make up the time through the first sector, but it'll be really interesting to see how Mubarak goes through this first sector. I think he's down on this first sector. He is, but only by 200ths.
Yeah, he's managed to make the time up, actually, to be fair, in the second part of that sector, but that first corner was absolutely atrocious, and if that is what to be expected of Mubarak, unfortunately, I think he's not going to be the Stig of the TTM team at the moment. He's looking a little bit uncomfortable again, riding the curbs. He's trying to ride the curbs as much as he can, but his ride height seems to be quite low, so there's a risk of potential beaching going through there. Going through the right-hander then, my favourite set of corners, 12 through 14, going to keep it nice and tight. Through 13, through 14, a little bit further up in the second sector. Might be in the 20.4s at the end of this one, through the left-hander. Keeps it planted, has to get a little chuck the car through there and risk potentially losing the rear, but manages to hold it ever so slightly. Again, the rear the front not just connecting up with him, so a bit of understeer through 16, comes across the line. I reckon a 20.4. It's actually only a 20.5, so he is a little bit down the order. That first corner could be a real killer for him as Tech goes up to P3, secures his spot into Q3. Big well done to him. Jeslar up to P6, exactly what they need. Cameron Dowd under pressure with that 20.5, as you rightfully call out. Mubarak is definitely under pressure. Mustache can only go P10. TTM might be losing someone. They've lost one. Are they going to lose two, I wonder?
Oh, Dan, there goes 12th. Mustache potentially there, down in 11th. Lafiti is improving, 2.5 tenths up through the first sector. Dirk is down, Dirk is out, Justin is out as well. It's Lafiti we're watching on board with now, 4.5 tenths up. Coming through the right-hander there, turn number 13 even, through the right-hander of 14 right now. 4.5 tenths, needs to find a tenth from somewhere to get Mubarak out of Q2, and this is looking good for Lafiti right now. The German now coming through the final couple of corners for EVE, on the run to the line, a little bit shoddy coming out through the final corner. Lafiti there on the run to the line, knocks him out. Mubarak there is out of TTM, 5,000th of a second in the end. Cameron Daz can breathe a sigh of relief. Further down as well, it's Oscar out on top, it's Brando in second, it's Gian there in third, but who would have thought it? TTM, Mubarak and Mustache. I did say, to be fair, Mustache could be out. He is out of Q2, as is Dan, as is Dirk, as is BRT Justin, who got a invalid lap time on the board. Mustache and Dan set the same lap times as well. Oscar out on top, Brando second, Gian there in third, but a huge shock. TTM, third in the championship, I believe, coming into tonight. They're out in Q2.
Yeah, big shock, that one indeed. But fair play to Lafiti once again. A king at the final death of a qualifying session. Right down at the back, puts himself in the top 5 for EVE. So Versio were all putting all their eggs in the Belby basket. May just have to take some out and sort of spread them evenly, because Lafiti is an absolute king at the moment when the pressure is on. Tech, P4, happy with that one, but unfortunately BRT have also lost a driver as well. But TRT are looking confident, and Shazoo, you were right about Cameron Dowd, and we were both thought that he was definitely at risk. 5,000ths of a second between getting through to Q3 and being knocked out.
And Team Shazoo and TRT are the only two teams that have made it with both of their drivers at the end of that qualifying session as well. Oscar topping the session for Team Shazoo. But look at that, 800ths of a second covering the top 10. I mean, with Mubarak, it's 900ths of a second covering the top 11. It's Oscar out on top, it's Brando in second, Gian there in third. To be fair, I did disown the TRT boys by saying they could be out in Q2, and they're not, which is good. Tech there in fourth, there's Lafiti there in fifth, Sam there in sixth, Mateo there in seventh, back to Von der Geese in eighth, Jeslar in ninth, and then Cameron Dowd ran off the top 10. But out of qualifying in Q2, Mubarak, Mustache, Dan, Dirk, and Justin all out of the session. 2.5 tenths covering the top 15. If that's anything to go by, Q3 is going to be one spectacle to behold. But let's have a look at the championship standings, because I have seen a few of you going on about what the championship standings are coming into tonight. CPI, for the first time ever, of course, leading the championship, 142 points to their name. Team Shazoo there in second on 136. Top Team Motorsport in third and 122. Bunker Racing Team in fourth and 120. So 22 points covering the top 4 teams. E-Taylor not too far behind on 85 points there in fifth. If they have a good night tonight with Mateo, they could be well up there. TRT in sixth on 80. The Novus Racing Team in seventh on 73. Team TF10 in eighth on 61. Avisio in ninth on 37. And then FRT right down there in 10th position on 26 points. But it's CPI currently in the championship. All is quiet at the moment. Not seeing anybody going out on track. So let's speak about the standings. CPI obviously leading the championship coming into tonight, but it's not going to be great because Jeslar is the only man for them in Q3.
Yeah, it's a far better scenario for the likes of CPI that they've actually got one driver through. Both the TTM boys are out as well. BRT are down to 1. Shazoo are the only ones that have got both of their drivers through to Q3. As it stands out of the top 4 teams. So that just shows you the intensity, how close the championship really is at the moment. And like I said, 93 thousandths of a second, the difference between between you being the top of Q2 and being knocked out. That's absolutely mind-blowing, to say the least. So advantage is on Shazoo, but only just. Remember, 5,000 per second between him, Cameron Dowd's being through and being knocked out. So, yeah, you've got both drivers through, sure, but they're not really up to the pace at the moment. They're not up there, are they? So, very, very much a mixed bag, and I can't really put a finger on who I think is probably going to be the favourite to potentially take pole. For all we know, you put it on TRT potentially, but then Lafitti's going to come across the line at the absolute death of Q3 and put it on pole by a 10th. You know, it could be anything.
It could be anything, and it could be anyone as well. It really could be any one of these 10 potentially to try and wrap up in terms of pole position and in terms of trying to assure themselves that role, that first role on the grid, which is probably crucial, but not as crucial as what it can be around this track. We'll see on board with Tech, though. He's on an outlap right now for the BRT team. Expect these drivers potentially to use a set of soft compound tyres, or a used set, I should say, of soft compound tyres early on in the session, and then we'll see them transition halfway through onto a fresh set of softs, and then we will end up rabbiting, I'm sure, for about 2 minutes once again in Q3. But Tech, the first man out on track. I'm immediately going to ask you guys in the chat, who do you think is going to wrap up pole position here tonight in Q3? I'm going to put myself on the line by going TRT Brando for pole.
Oh, you've just done exactly what I thought I was gonna. I was gonna do exactly that. I was gonna throw Brando in the hat as well for this one because I think he's got the tenacity to be able to do this one as well. So because you've put Brando on there and you're gonna take that one, I'm gonna say that it will be an out of nowhere scenario, and let's just throw. Even though look, it's not likely, but Aversio would be absolutely crying if Lafiti got it. So why don't we just say? Dark horse, last minute, last chance saloon for Lafitte gets it pole position.
Interesting. Will be very interesting to see how this shapes up, how this all pans out over the next 8.5 minutes or so. And Tech is the first man out on the run now, coming to the left-hander turn number 2. Very, very shaky coming through 2. Now to 3 and 4. In toward the double right-handers now, turns 5 and 6. Of course, you can take this in around about 6th gear, then down it to 5th if you want to try and get a little bit of extra maximisation from the traction. 29.8 though in the first sector suggests to me he's on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. That is probably told by the front right I can see. Definitely gleaning, so definitely a fresh set I think potentially for Tech coming through this first sector. Now coming through the middle sector, in towards turns 9 and 10, and then in towards the left-hander now or the long sweeping left-hander I should say, turn number 11. Nearly wide. You can get an invalidation actually for running over the curve that wide, but Tech managed to do that very nicely. 56.5. He is definitely on a fresh set of softs. Now coming through the right-hander of turn 13. Through the right-hander now of turn number 14. Misses the apex there slightly. Forced him a little bit wide of the curb. And now through turn 15. Tech has got to find all of that time that he's just lost back. Now comes in toward the right-hander of turn 16. This has been a very good lap time though by the BRT man. Should be round about a 20.5 I think from Tech. On the run toward the line. Oh, 20.4. He has to go a 10th quicker, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's found a little bit of time, actually, has Tech around there, so good lap time indeed. Plenty of invalid laps coming through at the moment, so I don't think there's going to be anything on the board initially from other drivers. I think we've got people just about to finish invalid lap times. We've got Sam who's come across the line. I think Matteo is just about to start his lap as well, so it's a little bit out of sync at the moment, is Tech versus everyone else. I think the next person to set a lap time if everything works out right, I think it's probably going to be Max van der Geest at the moment, the TF10 man who's actually just approaching turn 12. His second sector comes across the line right now with a 56.5, so he is a little bit down on Tech at the moment. Perhaps a used set, we'll see though. Chucking through the right-hander of the next couple of corners again, the rear just ever so slightly knocking him a little bit out of line. The same again though, well managed for Max van der Geest. Comes across the final corner then at turn 16 and avoid the curb on the inside, but take a lot of the curve on the outside with the DRS perfectly open for the TF10 man. Comes across the line with a 1:24.20.
Yeah, had a feeling that was going to be quicker, and it was quicker indeed. Gear now on the run to the line, 56.4 in the middle sector. He's looking to try and go ahead of Max von der Geest, and it could be the other TRT man that we've got to watch out for, because Gear now goes quickest ahead of Max von der Geest there in second. Oscar there in third. Brando, 56.6 in the middle sector. The pressure of me getting him for pole position is definitely now beginning to tell. Lafiti was on a set of used set of compound tyre. 21.1 for him down there in fifth position, potentially doing the strategy as Jota manages. 20.5 in the end from Brando on the run to the line. Cameron Dowd's obviously invalidated Sam, invalid Jesla, invalid Matteo. Now on the run to the line, the Italian Stallion. Is he going to be up there? He is. He's there in second position. It's Guillen out on top. It's Matteo on second. Max von der Geest there currently in third. Very good lap times being set, but there is still, I think, a good couple of attempts from these guys to try and deliver in this qualifying session. We are nowhere near where pole position potentially could be.
Yeah, I don't think the track is absolutely at its best either, to be honest with you. I think that definitely the beginning of Q2, there was a little bit of track devolution on the circuit. I know everyone was on a used set of soft tyres, but the lap times that people were setting were so far off the pace. So I think there's definitely elements of track devolution on the circuit. Perhaps as time's going on, of course, the track is getting a little bit cooler, but you wouldn't expect the track to be massively cooler considering that we are in the middle of the desert. So yeah, very peculiar, but that is the situation we're currently in. Laffiti coming in then with his cracking 21.1 puts him dead last are those that have set a lap time. But Cameron Dowd, Sam and Jeslar still not setting lap times. Cameron Dowd showing a little bit of struggle and showing some struggle again in Q3. His teammate up in fourth with that 24.28. Max von der Geest with a 124.20, beaten by 8 thousandths of a second to Matteo. But you were right about the team, but not the driver. Currently so far leading the way, Guillen with that 20.347 leading the way so far with 4 and a bit minutes to go left in Q3.
Yep, 4 minutes and 18, 17, 16 and 15 on the clock. If you are tuning in from maybe BBC Radio or something like that and you're just trying to sink in like Jack and George used to do on the radio. There we are. Guillen out on top, Matteo in second, Max von der Geest there in third. 4 minutes ago now in this session, and the final runs are going to be had very, very soon indeed. There were a few predictions put in potentially for Sam getting pole position. No, Bell Rothix there in the chat certainly said that. Plenty of people saying where's the pad go earlier on as well. Mubarak led down in 11th position, getting knocked out in the end by Laffiti. Laffiti, probably the new GOAT if you are not a Mubarak fan. If you are a Mubarak fan, then I do apologise because he's been knocked out in Q2. But in the end, Laffiti getting through by, what, I think it was 5 thousandths of a second in the end between Mubarak and the guy who placed there in P10, and which was Cameron Dowd. So Cameron there in 8th. Currently hasn't got a lap time on the board, so it is going to be a really interesting session. Guillen, Matteo, Max von der Geest currently the top 3. I still believe in Brando. I really do. He's 2 tenths off the pace compared to his teammate, but I believe in him if he can get a good first sector in, because I think he was a 29.9 in the first sector, and if he can get a good middle and a good final sector, and it all comes together, I believe in Brando. Sod believe in Black Box. Believe in Brando here tonight there for the Ferrari man. 20.553, and he's there in 6th position. But final runs are about to be had, and Jeslar now the first man to come out on track.
Yeah, Jeslar no doubt wanted to just get himself out there and get going. He's yet to set a lap time at the moment alongside Sam and alongside Cameron Dowd. Sam also leaving fairly quickly as well. Other people just about to leave as well. I think one of the Aston Martins, that'll be Matteo, just leaving the pit lane right now to get on with his lap. And of course the Alpine there as well. Shizu Oscar just leaving his pit box. Cameron Dowd's just leaving the pit lane.
Bell there in the chat also, what I said earlier on about Team Shizu and Team TRT both having both of their drivers in. 8 out of the 10 teams that we've got in Legacy Division tonight are competing in this very qualifying session in Q3, which is mad because I think it matches last year's record potentially as well of having around about 7 or 8 teams within qualifying. I know Las Vegas was certainly like that, if I remember off the top of my head. That was certainly very, very tight. It's very tight once again here in Qatar. Obviously, last season, I think it was sprint format and as well as the feature race that we had. We're in traditional circumstances here tonight. And that means everyone can go absolute hell for leather on this lap time without having to worry about going on an extra set of compound tyre and having to do a bit of a race. Harvey there in the chat saying, well, NVR out of qualifying. That's where NVR on completely washed compared to Sam there down in P9 for FRT. As now, I'm being really, really bad to these guys.
That's very rude. Very rude. Are you in a bad mood, James? If you want to have a break, mate, we can have a chat afterwards if you want. Just have a talk.
I'm all good. I'm all good. Jeslar there down in towards turn number 1. The CPI man in towards turn number 1. Maybe it's maybe there's something in the waters. I think here tonight. Qatar now coming to the left-hander at turn number 2, through the right-hander at 3 and 4 with Jeslar, and we'll see what his first sector split is going to be like. It's going to have to be a very important first sector split for Jeslar. Yeah. Hasn't got a lap time on the board. Can afford to go again, but I think he's got time not on his side. 29.8 an 8 though in the first sector, not bad at all.
Yeah, not bad in the first sector. I think there's more time to be had in that first sector, but Jeslar, I think, needs to, and rightfully, be a little bit more conservative about his track limits, considering he's got absolutely no time on the board in this Q3 and very limited time left, only 30 seconds. He won't get around the circuit in the time if he ends up making a mistake here. So, again, a little bit more conservative on the curbs, going through the right-hander then of 12, 13, 14, 56, 3, not bad at all in the second sector, keeps it tight from 13 through 14, keep it even tighter. In fact, he decides not to even try rushing the track limits there through 15, and very well taken indeed through 16. Bit more of a conservative lap. This is probably what he wanted to have done on his first run, so it might not be for pole, but Jeslar certainly going to be up there with a 20.4 you would expect. 20.2, even better. Cracking final corner definitely helped him out through there. Matteo looking to improve. He's absolutely on the limit. Is Matteo as he comes across the line. Will he be able to go any faster? Oh, he won't. Just misses out. 20.3.
Geeing up by a tenth of a second. Brando up as well. Cameron Dowd's there. Sam going second as well. Jeslar still out on top though. Sam in second. Cameron Dowd in third. Geeing though is a tenth and a half up on Jeslar through that middle sector. So we'll see what the TRT man can do. Now coming into the final couple of corners. Can the TRT man do it on the run to line? He's a bit shaky. Even coming out through the final corner. Geeing on the run to line. Not shaky enough. 20.2 goes quickest for now. Lafiti is purple in the middle sector. Is the EVE man and Jorce's prediction gonna come true? He is purple in the middle sector. I kid you not. Now coming in towards the right-hander of the final couple of corners. Through the right-hand now, turn 16. Brando goes second in the end. Wrong TRT man for me. Lafiti now. Could he try and chop the lock? Lafiti to line. No, he doesn't in the end. It's a 20.285, I think. In the end, it's only good for 8th position. My laptop is glitching out. I don't know what's going on here, but Gian is out on top. Brando in second, Jeslar there in third. I think Microsoft Store was trying to open for me there. Gian though out on top, Brando there in second, Jeslar there in third, then it's Sam in fourth, Oscar there in fifth, with Tech in sixth, Cameron Dowd in seventh, Lafiti there in eighth, Matteo in ninth, and then Max von der Geest rounding off the top 10. Gian though out on top, from Brando in second. Why couldn't it have been the other way round?
Oh, it was a bold call to put Brando, but to be fair, anyone could have got pole there. Less than 1.5 tenths separating the top 10 in that one. Absolutely unbelievable. And in the end, you know, Lafiti was purple in the second sector by just over 0.5 tenth, so he definitely had the pace in him. It's just lost out in that final sector. So I'm wondering if he's got a bit of a higher downforce setup. Is he prioritising the race? I wonder. We'll have to see. The drivers, of course, though, will be getting themselves ready for the new lobby. So that gives us a little bit of a time to breathe, James.
It does indeed, and it gives us a little bit of time, actually, to look at the championship standings as well, coming into tonight before we do go for our intermission break. CPI out on top on 142 points, Team Shazoo second on 136, Top Team Motorsport in third on 122, then Bunga Racing Team in fourth on 120, just keeping my eye to the left-hand side, yeah, migrating holes, which is all good. ET8 there in fifth on 85, TRT in 6th on 80, then Novus in 7th on 73, Team TF10 in 8th on 61, Avisio in 9th on 37, and then FRT there down in 10th position on 26 points. So it is going to be really intriguing to see how these guys, of course, cope out on track. Of course, Top Team Motorsport getting knocked out in Q2, P11 and 12 they're going to be starting, CPI only having one driver through, Jeslar nearly making it in terms of pole position, Team Shazoo as well, both their drivers in, Bunga Racing Team with Tech obviously in that qualifying session, Justin, I believe, starting P15, if I'm not mistaken as well. So currently, right now, it seems like everything is going Team Shazoo's way right now in terms of the top 4 in the standings.
Right, I think that, you know, they've definitely got the potential, you know, the potential barriers that they've got at the moment with Team Shazoo is that they have got three podium positions, all second places. Their last result in Bahrain was a 4th and a 16th, but they haven't actually won a race yet. So Shazoo need to try and dig deep and take that first win here. And if they do, it actually would mean 5 different teams winning the 5 races that we've had so far this season. So if they can find that win, then maybe that sort of break will eventually give them that freedom to potentially launch an assault towards the front of the field again. Remember, they had a bit of a shaky start, of course, after a few drivers leaving, a few drivers promoted up to PC. So they've got a lot to try and find out there at the moment, so it's not all set in stone, but they're definitely, you'd argue, the favourites here.
Definitely. So I've just seen a comment, by the way, there in the chat. Can you do 100% race to let Urpec recover? Unfortunately, the powers before us, Luke Humphreys, will definitely not do that, just for Urpec. So that's definitely not going to happen. But in the end, CPI do lead the standings coming into tonight. But no matter what happens, I think, coming out of Bahrain, coming into Qatar tonight, no matter what happens, CPI can say they've led the championship in WR Legacy Division, and that is cast iron proof with that graphic on your screen right now. But we are going to go for an intermission break. I need to fill up my bottle because I'm about half full right now in terms of my water, and I will repeat, water. Haven't got anything alcoholic in for commentary. I wouldn't be that daft on commentary either. But we're going to take our intermission break from our sponsors, of course, Next Level Racing and indeed Gridfinder, and you can watch the trailer as well. We'll be back with you in a few minutes. See, you get calls to start there in the chat, and we do start right on time as well. Good evening, everyone. Welcome along back to WOR Legacy Division. It is Season 5. It is Round 5 of the Championship. It is Qatar. It's on the Sail International Circuit, and these are your standings coming into tonight. There's been a lot of covering this, I've got to be honest, so we'll repeat for anybody that might be just joining in. CPI lead the way in the Championship on 142 points. So far, good night for Team Chazoo in second on 136. Both their drivers making, of course, through into Q3. Top Team Motorsport, not a great night for them so far on 122 points there in third. Bunker Racing Team in fourth on 120. ET8 there in fifth on 85. We'll come on to them in just a little bit more detail very shortly. TRT in sixth on 80. Novus Racing Team in 7th on 73. Then Team TF10 on 8th on 61. Avisio in 9th on 37. And then FRT there in 10th on 26 points. Myself, James Head, Jota alongside me, of course, in the commentary box. And Jota, it's Qatar. It is round number 5. It is 22 points separating the top 4 teams. Anything can happen in Formula 1, and it usually does.
And it usually does indeed. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm thinking, keeping a firm eye on ET8 at the moment. They're on 85 points. They're only 15 points away from finally getting to the 100 that they want to get, obviously, before the end of round 5, let's be honest. But the thing is, they're also on 15 penalty points as well. So they're actually only 5 away from losing a driver in a qualifying ban. So they've got to be careful, actually, of ET8 now thinking about it, because they obviously don't want to end up in a position where they end up having a driver not qualifying in tracks like Saudi Arabia. We've got Australia straight after that one as well, Imola and the Netherlands. So these are all difficult circuits to overtake at if you qualify badly. So ET8 got to be careful out there. 5th in the standings, 15 points behind 100, but 15 points with the penalties.
Definitely so. It is going to be rather intriguing, I think, to see how everything pans out, I think, out on track. We have, of course, got a number of lap times, and I'm going to go on the track map very quickly just to see. 16 turns, 5.3 kilometers, and then 3.3 miles. And of course, we have got how many laps around here in Qatar? Please say it shows on this graphic. It doesn't. It doesn't even show on the track map. Oh, I've been absolutely done over with that track map. Anyways,
25, I think.
25? 26?
25,
something like that.
I think. 25, I think. It's something like that. Anyway, it's a number.
It is a number. It's a double figure. It's a double-digit number, is what we could definitely say, at least. Yeah, I think you're right. It is 25 laps around here in Qatar. But what we are going to do is go very shortly out on track in terms of this race, and it is going to be rather intriguing. I think it's actually going to be rather tactical as well. We are going to see a lot of ERS training. Of course, the ERS limit change, of course, happening recently as per the patch update yesterday. So that's all changed. Everyone now has to try and figure out how to save their ERS again. To the likes of Cam and Dad, to the likes of Mateo, that'd be like a duck to water, surely.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we'd expect those drivers to be sort of up there immediately as the drivers are getting themselves ready for their strategy calls here. Plenty of people electing to start on the hard tyre, but TRT at the moment sticking with the medium, curiously, as is Belby actually down in 18th place. But yeah, you know, the expectation here is that your drivers like your Cameron Dowd, your Mateo, they didn't qualify well, but they will race really well and be able to mix it up there as well. Jeslar in P3, no doubt, will also be at the front, but really battling it out with the TRT. But TRT at the front, the Italian team with the Italian out for the Scarlet Red Ferrari, will absolutely be running a riot. Here we go.
Here we go. 5 red lights about to go out here in Qatar. Round number 5 of the championship, and it is long hold, but it is lights out and away we go, and Geen gets a good start. Brando gets a good start, but Jesdor gets a phenomenal start, and he could try and get in between both of the TRT boys down in towards turn number 1, but Geen will lead. Brando there in second. He'll try and get the block on through turn number 1 as well. Jesdor there in third. Oscar and Tekka side by side, just in the background of shot. Now on board with him through turn 3 and 4. Left-hand side of the track there for Oscar. Right-hand side of the track there for Tech. They nearly bump wheels coming out in towards turn number 5 for the first time. Geen there leading the way. Brando in second, Jesdor there in third, still side by side between Tech. Now with Cameron Dowds on the outside line as well, trying to get a phenomenal start. The flying Scotsman tries to go to the inside line, doesn't. In the end, there's contact. I think Lafitti's been knocked down there and lost a couple of positions. Mustache as well, getting caught with Max van der Gies, and now Dirk getting involved, I think, in a separate incident with Dan, but it's Geen that leads the way. Brando there in second, Jesdor there in third. Everyone is on a set of hard compound tires to start off the race. There is somebody firing off track there. And I'm not sure who it was. I don't think anybody was firing off on track. I think I was just trying to make things up.
think it's a bit of a lag spike potentially. Mubarak racing with Lafiti. Lafiti didn't actually hit anyone. He actually had a big tank slapper and actually locked the rears up slightly as I've got
Mubarak and Lafiti off.
Oh, that's awful. That's an awful accident. What the hell happened there? Safety car, no doubt, going to be out straight away, and that's exactly what has happened. That's an awful incident between them there and Lafiti. Out of nowhere getting into that collision with Mubarak. Mubarak on my side didn't actually do anything. There was no collision on my screen. Everything was absolutely all hunky-dory.
They got caught in each other, I think, coming through turn 12, and then locked wheels coming through turn 13, and they've gone absolutely spearing off. Right-hand side, that's near enough 160 mile an hour that they have gone off there. It's unfortunate, Mubarak is still in the race and he's still going out on track. Visibly, no damage on the car. TTM, I'm sure, will come into the chat and say if he's got damage, but to me, visibly at least, he hasn't got any damage. Lafiti certainly has. He's out of the race. Really, really unfortunate, but in the end, what I only caught on board with it very late indeed, but for my reckoning, I think they've got locked on each other and they've got caught on wheels coming through turns 12 and 13, and therefore they've gone spearing off the track in towards just before turn 14. And in the end, both of them, at least Mubarak is still continuing, but Lafiti, absolutely heartbreak for the EVE man down there in P20. DNF on, I think, his Legacy Division debut, if I'm not mistaken, as well. But in the end, Lafiti down out of the race, and the stewards are going to have to try and pick the bones out of that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Like I said, I was on board with Mubarak as that accident was happening, and his car didn't react in any specific way. It just looked like his car just drove off the circuit. Now, I assumed at that point, what I thought was safely, was that there was a bit of a lag spike, because we saw a bit of lagging here and there in the previous lobby, so I just assumed he was just lagging a little bit and he'll return back to the circuit. Then you screamed, oh, that's been a collision, and then next thing you know, the Lafiti's in the wall, and I had 160 miles an hour, so... yeah, just absolutely mind-blowing. I've seen instances similar to that, but not with such delicate ease of Mubarak's car just off the circuit. See you later. Good night. Very unusual.
What the stewards are going to have to decipher is whether that contact was legitimate. I think Mubarak got the move done on Lafiti, if I'm not mistaken, through turn 12, just before that. So he got the move done on Lafiti. But then I think with how Mubarak has potentially locked wheels with Lafiti and the way Lafiti was on the outside curb, he's probably either got caught in the curb and just got locked on wheels and they've gone spearing off, or they've just simply locked on wheels together coming out of turn number 12, and Mubarak just hasn't left him enough space, as Dirk has got a 10-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. He is coming legitimately into the pit lane, passing the start-finish line onto lap 3 he goes, and he just picked up a 10-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. So Dirk, definitely very, very strange. At least, though, the game has got the decency of him allowing to be served up that 10-second penalty right here, right now in the pit lane.
Luke is curiously in the chat. Those obviously not part of our Discord will be interested to hear this one. And no surprises that Dirk is unfortunately going to serve that penalty. And I don't think the 10 seconds is going to get removed. It won't matter anyway, because, of course, he served it under the safety car. So I don't really think the stewards are going to take too kindly to having 10 seconds removed for absolutely no reason for TF10, Dirk. Lafiti, though, got a clip. He says yes, he has got a clip. So Luke, just to mention, I was saying in the Discord, Luke was immediately straight on the blower to Lafiti going, have you got a clip of that? Because that is so unusual. And Lafiti's just gone, yep, absolutely, I've got a clip of it. I'll send it to you. So Lafiti's going to send the clip in. It'll be interesting to see from his perspective what we saw. Because again, from my point of view, it just looks so delicate. Mubarak just drove off the circuit off my side. And I thought rightfully it was a glitch, but it wasn't. So very unusual indeed in that one. Currently, though, leading from the front, TRT, Gian and Brando leading from the front with the hard tyre. Plenty of drivers out there that have elected to make a pit stop have then come back out. So Casper Fike of the ET8 team has decided to come out on a medium tyre. Dirk, on the other hand, came out on the hard, went in for mediums. He's obviously got that 10-second penalty, immediately served it, straight back onto a hard tyre, joins the back of the pits. And actually, Dirk could theoretically go to the end of this race now if he wanted. Safety car in.
The Maltese man of Jakku, by the way, who is the EVE founder, I believe, and owner of the team, has just called for a restart to the race on lap 3 out of 29. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. Gian now the virtual Bowmander, he's now the virtual safety car. Him and Brando can dictate the pace to however he wants, and I say that because Brando is right in behind him, so he is going to be acting like a guinea pig, and you can already see Gian wants to try and go through the final couple of corners. Brando's just hanging back ever so slightly, about 3-4 car lengths that he's given Guillen to try and escape away. And that means now Jeslard's got to be right on this. And it's a perfect restart from Guillen, but it's actually a perfect and better restart from Brando because he's closing in already. Down in towards turn number 1. Sam there weaving the tyres. Cameron Dowd's already on the inside line of Oscar in towards turn number 1 there as well. But Guillen there leading the way. Brando in second. Jeslar there in third. Sam in fourth. And Cameron Dowd's in fifth. They're side by side further down the field. Bell being just in the side by side through turn 2. Now through the right hand of turn number 3 and 4. We'll see what he can do on this outside line. Please don't be a Mubarak Lafiti incident once again. Belby though gets the move done. Coming through turn number 5 and 6 this time around. Job done for him. He's through and he's into 11th. Justin on the back of him still there in towards turn number 7. In the end, going out wide. I think Max on the geese there. Very wide actually. Coming out of the corner as well with Justin and Quantum side by side further down. But Guillen, great restart. Leads the way by 6/10. Brando second. Jeslar in third. And there, I think, Cameron Dowd's just making a slight mistake and running wide.
Belby up 7 positions, started in P18, up to 11th place. This is exactly what we'd have expected from Belby, and of course, he's now going to be working for 2. Of course, Lafiti getting in that accident earlier on, it resulted in that sort of incident. Urpek and Choco battling for P15 and 16 at the moment. Urpek now through, up 5 positions from the back of the grid in 20th. And then, of course, Quantum and Choco will be hoping they can actually score some big points here tonight. They're going to need to. So far, only Quantum scoring points for Novus Racing. Remember, top 15 score points in the World Online Racing's Legacy Division. Top 10 rounded off with Mustache, but Belby closing in. Fastest lap so far, Casper, now Dirk, 25.5.
Cameron Dowd's looking to the inside line, though, on the back of FLT. Sam down in towards turn 1. Very deep to the apex there. Goes the flying Scotsman, and now tries to overtake the Brit all the way around the outside through turn number 2. This is going to be brave, bold and brilliant for Cameron Dowd if he completes this move. And he surely does, because he's 3/4 of a car length ahead. Now a full car length ahead. And that is Cameron Dowd. Throonies into 4th. The Miracle Man does it again here in Qatar. Throonies into 4th. And that is a beautiful move, I've got to say. And that could be even better from back to the inside line on the back of Oscar. Oscar realises he's coming. He's half a car length ahead. Now coming in towards turn number 7. And in the end, Tech can't get through. But you may as well try as you must, because Oscar looks pretty weak coming through the middle sector.
Yeah, he's looking a bit weaker, actually. Doesn't look as confident going through the medium to fast speed corners, actually, does Oscar. So Tech looking to just go for the dive bomb into the slow speed in the hope that maybe that might put Oscar off a little bit because he knows he's going to lose time. But Sam is not looking particularly fast at the moment in P5 for FRT. It'll be a big points haul for FRT as it currently stands as well. With Dan down in 15th, that'll be the single point. But Sam will be getting big points as it currently stands. He's down 1 position, but that's only because Cameron Dowds is flying at the moment. Started in 7th. He's now up to 4th and trying to chase down the podium positions, as you were rightfully called out there, James, actually in the intermission, said that keep an eye on Cameron Dowds because he's going to be flying out there. Brando setting the fastest lap at 25 dead.
Yeah, his ERS management, Cameron Dowd, is so much better, I think, compared to everyone else. I know this is going to be a pretty tactical race, but you will watch the second half of the race and come and mark this right now in terms of what I'm saying. Cameron Dowd will end up being at about 100% battery, and in fact, he's already at 58%. Coming in towards the right-hander there of turn number 4 and 5. Now in towards turns 5 and 6 even. Out on track. Jesler there in 3rd position. Has got more ERS than him, but Cameron Dowd had to get that move done. Had to get it done pretty aggressively on the back of Sam as well, and is looking for the move. Casper Flack, speaking of which, is looking for the move on the back of Quantum. ETA and MBR are side by side. Where have we seen this before here in Qatar? Now coming through right around the outside of turn number 7. Casper Flack, surely on the fresher tyres, is going to have this move, and he hasn't for chips. Beautiful move round the outside of turn number 9. Casper Black through, and he's into unlucky for some 13th position, but it's lucky for the Dutchman because he's absolutely sent that around the outside of Quantum. Beautiful move.
Yeah, great move done as well on that medium tyre. Remember, the medium tyre won't go the distance. Mistake from Jeslar. Oh no, he's just lagged, actually. Looks like a bit of a lag spike. And that's exactly what I thought happened with Mubarak earlier on. I thought it was just a bit of a lag spike and off he went. But no, there was a mistake from Oscar. That's going to invite potentially Tech into the battle here. Remember, Mateo also trying to battle hard as well. You mentioned about Cameron Dowds, by the way. Dirk now with another penalty to his name for multiple
Here he comes.
Mentioned about, here comes Cameron Dowds, and he's been looking after his ERS the last couple of laps. Oh, he's going to go for the dive potentially down the inside. It's turn 1. It's a double overtake potentially. Cameron Dowds gets a knock on Brando. Is the move going to be done? Brando defends down the inside line through the next corner. He'll have to hold on around the outside. He did this once, and he does it again, does the Team Shazoo man. And they're going to stay side by side through here, and Brando rightfully yields the position.
And that is Cameron Dowds once again proving his absolute brilliance around here in Qatar. Him, Renz Thomason, and Matteo went 3 wide twice in PSGL, PSF1 around here. Cameron Dowds just scored 3 wide once. Whether or not he can do it again in 22 laps worth of action still left in this race remains to be seen. God, I hope he can. Guillenard on top from Cameron Dowds in second, Brando there in third, Jeslo in fourth, Sam there in fifth, and in the end, Oscar picking up a 3-second penalty. He is looking very shaky, I've got to say, out on track. He's got Tech and Matteo right up his backside, coming through the right-hander at turn number 11 and 12, and then in towards turns 12 and 13 and 14 even. Tech is right on the back of Oscar. Oscar at the minute, compared to Cameron Dowds is absolutely loving life right now, just pulling off overtakes left, right and centre. Oscar, for me, Shazoo seems quite weak, and speaking of weak, Justin's going to be weak as well, because he just gets the overtake back on the, Casper Flack gets the move done on Justin. Justin could have the move back done down in towards turn number 1. Tech, though, the other BRT man is going to go side by side with Oscar. Need to get this move because Oscar is really weak out on track right now compared to Tech. Tech to the inside line through turn number 1, nearly half a car length ahead coming out of the corner. Now around the outside of turn number 2. We saw Cameron Dowds this do twice, and we see Tech do it once already. Tech Fooney's into 6th, Oscar there in 7th. With that 3-second penalty, Oscar has got to tread very, very lightly not to pick up any more.
Drink up, we're leaving. That's exactly what the TRT will have been telling Gian at the moment. We've got to get a shift on to get Cameron Dowds out of the way because he's flying out there at the moment. He actually managed to find, to be fair, around about 7 to 8 tenths on Cameron Dowds on the previous lap, but the DRS train brought him right back into the swing of things. And Cameron Dowds, by the way, mentioning about his ERS management, he was down to around about 30% on his ERS when chasing down the likes of Jeslar, despite the fact that he was racing Jeslar and then made the double overtake to get the move done on Brando. No doubt TRT will send it to the stewards, but I think it was a perfectly fair overtake. Cameron Dowds has now recovered all of his ERS and he's now up into the 90s of percent as he goes into this braking zone here. He's absolutely making mincemeat of the strategy. Now the question is he going to be able to close down Gian and get that overtake done? 6 positions gained for a potential lead in this race. Lap 9 of 29, 20 to go.
Cameron Dowds might have to be forced into the race lead here because this closing speed is something down in towards turn number 1. But in the end, Cameron Dowds opts not to close up enough. Matteo, though, side by side with Oscar, down in towards turn 1. These two were side by side, of course, around here in PSGL last season at this track. And Matteo gets the move done on Oscar pretty easily indeed. So Oscar taking quite a lot out of the tyres early on, it seems. Matteo now just about to get into the race for the first time. He's overtook Oscar, now sets his sights on the back of Tech, who at the minute I think is looking the best right now out of the front 6, apart from Cameron Dowds. He is definitely picking his moves left, right and centre, trying to figure out any weakness that anybody around him has got. And right now, Sam potentially has a weakness through the middle sector, so this will be pretty decent for Tech to try and get the move done. And as soon as I say that, Sam just got caught on the curb and Tech is through. It's almost as if I read minds there. Tech through and he's into 5th, Sam there in 6th. Sam's middle sector looked weak lap ago, and now even weaker because he's just lost the move to Tech.
Yeah, Sam and Oscar are burning through their tyres much more aggressively than the rest of the field around them at the moment, so they really need to consider long-term complications here, and if they go into a 2-stop, they are absolutely going to be done for, and that's the last thing FRT need at the moment as well. 6th place is actually a decent result for FRT. They'd be happy to take the big points from that one, but Sam needs to start learning how to manage his tyres, because at the moment he's going through the corner so aggressively at the moment, as are other drivers around.
Yeah, Brando was certainly going aggressive through the final corner because we're completely sideways coming through. Cameron Dowds going to go for the race lead though. Forced maybe into the move down and towards turn number 1, but it is job done for him. Are we going to get 3 wide in the background as well? We could get 2 wide because Mustache is right on the back of Maxwell the Geese. Maxwell the Geese right on the back of Oscar there as well. But Cameron Dowds leading the way for the first time in front here in Qatar. Whether or not he remains that way, though, remains to be seen. Of course, we've still got pit stops to come. We could even see safety cars and VSEs in this race as well. We've already seen one. Will we see another? Casper Flack looking to the inside line on the back of Mustache. His tyres now beginning potentially to go off the cliff. The mediums do last quite well around here. You would expect to see early pit stops, but there goes an early move for Casper Flack to the inside line of Mustache on the outside line. He's going to be there on the inside for turn number 9, in towards turn number 10. Mustache is still there on the outside line. They're still side by side, and in the end, Mustache gets the move, but Casper Flack gets a brilliant switchback. Now coming out of turn number 10 through the long left-hander. That's dragging left-hander through turn number 11, and in the end, Casper Flack can't find the move, and it's Mustache there in P10. Casper Flack at 11th. Put it that way, Casper Flack's tyres are going off the cliff, not compared to Mustache, but in the end, they can pull on a battle like that. Well done to both of them.
Yeah, well done to Casper to leaving the position and leaving the space there. But Mustache, what a fabulous bit of defending from the TTM man as well. This is for P10 as well, so a miraculous bit of racing indeed. Cameron Dowd's going even faster, but gets overtaken by Guillaume at the front of the field and Brando. So TRT, oh, Cameron Dowd defending it though, actually, looking to hold on to around the outside line. And we know that he likes to make the overtake on the outside, but he's going to have to force the move on the inside here. Is Brando going to do what to Cameron Dowd? What Cameron Dowd has already done twice already, I wonder. Is Cameron Dowd going to give up the position, or is he going to get boxed in? He does not. He holds on to the position into P2. He will not be boxed in by the two TRT boys. Team Shazoo are holding strong.
And that is very, very respectful driving, I think, in all of that from Brando, because he could have easily kept that side-by-side in through the first sector, in towards turn number 7. But he didn't. He let Cameron Dowd have that move. And in the end, it's not a lose-lose for TRT. They're first and third in this race. But now, it puts Brando under so much pressure because Jeslot's right up his backside once again, coming from the left-hand of turn number 10. Tech there right on the back as well. It could cause a bit of a Constantina effect. And if that is the case, Brando could be there to try and attack Cameron Dowd. Cameron Dowd could be there to attack Gian. And it could end up being, like we saw in PSGL, or like I saw certainly in PSGL, PSF1 around here, 3 wide with Renz Thomason, Mateo and Cameron Dowd rearing its head and coming once again here in the WOR Legacy Division. So it could easily happen that way. Gian though leading the way, 7.5 tenths. I think he will lead down in towards turn number 1 this time around. Cameron's in second though, Brando in third. Here comes Jeslo though on the back of Brando for the move down in towards turn number 1. Is he going to look and get close enough, trying to drag that McLaren close enough to the inside line in towards turn number 1? He doesn't. Mateo, speaking of which, the one and the fabulous 3 around here in PSGL, he's there down in 7th, looking for the move on the back of Sam, can't find the way through. But Gian there leads the way. Cameron Dowd in second, Brando there currently in third position. Nordic Ninja, by the way, going on the track saying if you haven't showered for a month, I guess you haven't left your house for a month. Nice thinking there, Nordic Ninja.
Yeah, I mean, get that on a quote plaque and have that in the middle of London. Absolutely fabulous. Tech was putting Jeslar under a little bit of pressure through that first sector, by the way, and immediately Jeslar just immediately now thinking to himself, all right, okay, maybe I have got a little bit of pressure behind me here. The BRT guys definitely wanted to keep in motion here, and of course they've got Justin in 12th at the moment, so at least they've got a double points haul on the way as it stands. But as it stands so far, this is not a bad scenario for CPI. They've got Urpek in the final point scoring position. Jeslar's in 4th. The points that they're going to be losing big time to at the moment to TRT, they're 6th in the standings on 80 at the moment. Team Shazoo are going to earn big from Cameron Dowd, but only 8th for Oscar, and he's losing time as it stands, actually. So CPI, yeah, they're probably not going to hold on to the championship lead as it currently stands, but it's definitely not the worst result in the world as it currently stands for CPI. Is he going to get relegated to 5th? No, he defends down the inside line. Will Tech go around the outside of turn 1? He's certainly looking for it. Gets into a little bit of a tank slapper and caught a little bit under the diffuser of Brando, and as a result of that, to give the position back.
Yeah, and in the end, Tech had to recover that move and somehow not get the move done on the back of Jeslo. And I think, again, very fair racing there from the BRT man. On the back of the CPL man, could have easily left it on in there, even if he didn't make that mistake, and they would have been side by side. But in the end, Tech realised he made the mistake and realised he wasn't going to get the move. So he just backed off on the back of Jeslo, and it's pretty smart driving. And that's what I'd love to see around this track, and indeed, through any race that I cover, even if it's in the WOR Legacy Division, in EML, elsewhere. I absolutely love to see fights like this and drivers being really respectful in the fairness of competition. And at the end of the day, that is what we are seeing. In the fairness of competition, some really good battling. But what we are also seeing is Cameron Dowd being pretty weak right now out on track, because it's 9/10 of a second, Gian, to Cameron Dowd. Gian is going to try and stretch Cameron Dowd as if Cameron Dowd didn't need stretching anyways. He's normally the one doing all the stretching to the rest of the field. But Cameron now, outside of a second. Was he outside of the DRS detection point there? This will be interesting. Through the final couple of corners, he is outside of the DRS detection point. So Cameron Dowd, outside by 1,000th of a second, now brings Brando, Jeslo, Tech into play. But because we've only got one DRS zone around here, nothing's going to happen down in towards turn number 1. Gian leads the way. Cameron Dowd's there in second. Brando there in third. But Cameron Dowd was at 67% coming through the final corner. He's now at 38.
Not too bad from Cameron Dow's managing it, but he's now at 35% ERS and trying to recover all of that energy that he had to spend down the straight, not to defend from Brando, but rather get back into the DRS of Guillen. Guillen at the moment actually hovering around 40% himself now, so actually coming down on a mass harvest of his energy. Actually, suddenly, out of the blue, has got 20% more ERS than Guillen at the moment, so that brings him back into fruition. He just needs to find within around about half a second. I think Cameron will find that he's a bit more comfortable, but as it stands so far, he is still on the fringes.
Do you know, actually, I'm going to bring this up now. Cameron Dowds in second. Do you know how I said Oscar I thought was struggling in the middle sector? I think Cameron Dowds is doing exactly the same thing as what Oscar was earlier on. Because he seems to me, it's now 7/10 of a second, and he's coming back through this part of the track. But in that, it was 8/10 of a second. It was a second the last lap around. Are Shazoo running the same setup for Cameron Dowds and Oscar through that middle sector? That's what's got me thinking here, because if he is, Cameron Dowds was really good through the opening couple of laps. But in the end now, is it a combination of his tyres going off, and has he got the same strategy as the man there down in P8 who's getting attacked by Max von der Geest down in towards turn 1? It's a fascinating ploy. Somebody from Team Shazoo, please answer that if they're running the same setups, because I'm intrigued. Now, with Cameron Dowds looking very strong in the first sector and in the middle sector in the first half of the race, now his tyres are beginning to go off. He looks like he's struggling through the middle sector, as was Oscar, nearly 7-8 laps ago.
Oh, wow. Brando on 100% ERS as he's going through the corner. No doubt leaves none to start using a little bit more of his electrical energy. So I think we've got Brando potentially on a charge here to make an overtake on Cameron Dowds, potentially make the overtake on Guillen as well. So is Guillen on a little bit of a harvest at the moment here to try and recover that energy? Cameron Dowds now up to 100% ERS. Using none is so powerful in this game here. So Cameron Dowds was struggling with electrical energy. Within half a lap, he's recovered all that energy. The issue is, though, he's still within around about a little bit over half a second behind on Guillen, but he will still have at least the ERS. Jeslar keeping close and keeping Brando some real company here. Is CPI about to consider a move? Let's see. Turn 16.
Yeah, Brando on the back of Cameron Dowds, Tech on the back of Jeslar. Everything is now going to filter out into really good battles. Brando was on the back of Cameron Dowds. Cameron, though, might eye up and move on the back of Guillen. We get the first pit stops, though. Casper Flack, Justin, Quantum, and indeed Dan and Mubarak all into the pit lane from further down the field, looking to try and get a switch back. Mateo around the outside line on Sam in towards turn 1. Sam had to fight for every single breath down in towards turn number 1 of that apex, just about getting the car ahead on the Aston Martin. But the Aston Martin is going to be right there or thereabouts in terms of this battle, and he's still on the back of Sam. But Guillen there leading the way. Cameron in second, Brando there in third. Not a Ninja bringing up a good point there. Are Shazoo potentially running lower wings through the first sector and in the final sector than they are in the middle. But now, it seems to me as if it's a chop and change. It might be the tyres, but there, coming through the corner, Guillen makes a mistake, and now Cameron Dowds is within 3/10 of a second. Otherwise, is Guillen now beginning to feel the pressure of him being out in front and going hell for leather on those tyres? Because now, all of a sudden, it's beginning to change.
Ferrari are getting themselves ready for a pit stop by the looks of things here. So one of the TRT boys I expect is coming in, and I think both Shazoo, both Alpines have been asked to come in as well. So if they would expect Cameron Dowds potentially might be coming in here. We'll see though as they're going to be approaching the pit lane entry. Someone I think is going to be making a pit stop. We'll see if anyone dives in down to the inside line. Nobody here from TRT by the looks of things, but we have got FRT Sam coming in, and Oscar is also elected to stay out as well critically. So they have been called in by their strategy. They have been called in by their strategy, but they are not adhering to their strategy at the moment. They're trying to see blink and who goes first.
And in the end, if you blink and you go early, you will end up getting worse tyres towards the end of the race. And that's what potentially we could see from the likes of Casper Flack, Justin, Quantum, especially the guys that have pitted. There they are on the right-hand side of the track. And these guys are now on the left-hand side of the track coming out of the pit lane. And in the end, Sam, I think, misses pit limiter there. Coming out of the pit lane, nearly forfeited the position to Mateo, and now Justin and Casper Flack are right in this and are right on the back of Mateo. So they've ended up being in a really decent position, but they haven't, because the fresher compounded tyres are obviously going to come into play, but track position is everything around this track. So the likes of Guillen, Cameron Dowds, Brando, all continuing on. Is this a fall from grace, potentially, from them? TRT are going to have to not double stack, and they're going to have to pit one in, and then one a lap later. I think TRT are messing this up right now.
Yeah, TRT are not considering the fact that the top 10 were all within around a tenth of each other, so they have to pit someone soon. Gian has had an absolutely atrocious 17th lap. He's had a bunch of
He's in.
lockups and no surprises. He's coming in. He does not like the tyres he is on. Cameron Downs will inherit the lead, but will also have DRS. Brando will stay out then, and that will be the person potentially at risk. We'll have to see where Gian comes out versus everyone else here. Jeslar also in the McLaren, so he'll be switching over to a medium tyre as the Ferrari just leaves his pit box now. We've got people just coming down and out of turn 16. That's Tech leading the way of those who have made the pit stop here. Here he comes then, Gian versus Tech. It is going to be close here. I've got a lovely off-board here as they're going to leave the pit lane right now, and I have a feeling Gian is going to get jumped, and he's going to get jumped 1, 2, 3 cars in the end in this one, and TRT leaving it that 1 lap too late in trying to battle with Team Shazoo have not considered the teams behind them.
And you've got to think, Jeslo and Oscar pitted in the same lap there as Gian. Gian's got very fortunate there because Oscar's halfway down the pack, Jeslo's halfway down the pack as well. So they are out of position compared to everyone else, and Mustache has got a 10-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining in position. I believe that might have been on Jeslo or Oscar, one of the two. But in the end, he's ahead and he's got a 10-second penalty. Very unfair. They're definitely going to be trying to get that one out. But Cameron Dowds and Brando are going to be into the pit lane. And this is now going to be them all the way down where Mustache, Jesler, Oscar, where they are. And I absolutely guarantee you they are not going to be up towards Tech, Mateo, and Sam at this moment in time in the race. Everyone is into the pit lane. Dirk is into the pit lane as well very shortly. In fact, he continues on. So Dirk continues on, goes an extra lap for Team TF10.
To the end.
Could he make a sort of soft compound of tyres? Oh yeah, he could make it to the end. He has already put it in. He's on that sort of hard compound of tyres, but they're going to be very short towards the end. Cameron Dowds, though, and Brando coming out of the pit lane. They're going to be halfway down the pack. There they are, right-hand side of your screen right now.
Dear.
There they are on the left-hand side. They are halfway down the pack.
1,
It's
2,
literally,
3,
as I
4,
said,
5, 6,
at least
7,
8 cars.
8, 9. 9 cars for Gian. It'll be 9 cars, potentially 10 for Gian. No, it will be 8 cars in the end, potentially. Will he go around the outside line? Cameron Dow's trying to defend it, but that's not going to work versus Jeslar. 9 cars is the difference, and 10 for Brando, and that is exactly what I said. Shazoo and TRT were both looking at each other saying, go on, who's going to blink first? And then they've left it 1 lap too late as a result. Cameron Dow's going for the dive bomb down the inside of Jeslar. It's not going to work on this occasion. Lucky wheels ever so slightly. Well defended from the CPI man who's surely going to go for the dive on the inside line. He's still there. Still there on the inside line, and well defended from the McLaren and CPI. I did make that call. I think that what's happened there is TRT and Shazoo were just considering each other and not thinking about the fact, if you remember in qualifying, the top 9 were separated by less than a 10th. That is what happens when you don't consider everyone else around you. Now we've got TF10 Dirk. He can go to the end of this race if he wants to. 15 seconds in front. Then you've got Tech, Mateo, Sam, and Gian leading the way in the top 5. That is massive. Massive for BRT and massive for TF10.
It is massive for TF10 as well, potentially for Dirk, but remember, he has got that penalty overshadowing him right now. We're going to go side by side down the straight with Sam on the back of Mateo, Mateo on the back of Tech, all closing in down in towards turn 1. Mateo looking for the move, half-hearted, and in the end, nearly calls a Constantino. In fact, Sam nearly makes contact, and now Gian's on the outside line, in towards turn number 2 and 3. Will the Italians each other out? No, Sam lags very much so on the left-hand side. Is he disconnecting from the session here, the FLT man? Now side by side between him and Justin. Justin to the inside line, on the back of Gian, to the inside line now through turn number 6. They get leaning on each other very slightly. They cause a bit of contact, but Gian surely ahead into the corner. He is ahead into the corner. Gian finds the move. He's through and he's into a net P4 out on track. Dirk's still leading the way. They're closing in about a second and a half a lap right now compared to Dirk. Tech there in second, Mateo third, Sam in fourth, Gian there in fifth. This race is going to be hell for leather. Buckle up, fasten your seatbelt. It's going to be one wild and wacky ride.
Yeah, 9 laps to go here for this one. Sam, by the way, I'm an Xbox player. As people may know, Sam is lagging. This is not a desync issue in relation to PlayStation versus Xbox. He is just lagging. So if that continues, it may just be that Luke has to step in and say, FRT, retire your man from P4. That's the last thing FRT needs. Sam needs to make sure that his internet stays as controlled as possible, because Gian and Justin had a real opportunity to overtake him, and it definitely was blocked by an internet connection issue.
Yeah, seems okay now. I'm on board with Gian running down in towards turn number 1. Sam definitely not lag spiking down in towards turn number 1 for now, and he isn't through turn number 1. So I think everything may have just been a slight hiccup in the system. Maybe Virgin Media Wi-Fi kicking in there for FRT Sam down in P4 right now, as looking on the back, Quantum right on the back of Casper Flack on the outside line in towards turn number 5. We've seen beautiful moves pulled off around here before here in Qatar. Is Quantum going to prove off the same? Down in towards turn number 7. He's right on the back of Casper Flack, but in the end, Casper hangs on for 7th. Quantum there in 8th and causes a bit of a Constantine effect with the slubbing up of the cars behind with Cameron Dowd and Moustache right in behind there as well. Get into the inside line, and Sam looking for the move, very aggressive to go for the move through turn number 7 there, and in the end cannot find a way through. Dirk leading the way, 13 seconds is the gap. But honestly, that gap is going to come down in bucket loads, and Dirk is not going to be there at the end of the race.
Don't be so sure.
I did see, I think it was on the last game cycle, somebody try and go toward the end of the race, and they got absolutely lapped up in the last 3-4 laps or so, and I'm imagining it's going to be the same with Dirk. He's got 12.8 seconds, big gap to have, but when you've got guys in a set of mediums who are going to be closing in potentially 2 or 3 seconds a lap very soon, Dirk has got to try and hang it out there for the long run, as there goes Matteo for the net race lead on the back of Tech.
Yeah, exactly what Matteo's looking for. This is exactly your point. Again, in the intermission, you said keep an eye on Matteo, and he's made the pit stop strategy work an absolute dream for ETA. Now, they're in the prime position to potentially win this race, but remember, Dirk has got that 12-second gap. Take the 3 seconds off. That makes it a 9-second gap. There are 8 laps to go. Dirk can afford to lose around about 1 second per lap if he wants to try and hold on. The issue is Tech is certainly not as fast as Matteo at the moment, and Matteo more than certainly is going to start pulling that gap a lot quicker than Tech would have done. This is going to be really, really squeaky bum time for Dirk. Oh, talking of squeaky bum time, Quantum and Moustache. Oh, big tank slapper for Moustache.
And Cameron Dowds gets the move done. So Cameron Dowds now ahead of Moustache. Moustache is now right under pressure from Brando and behind as well. This race is building up to be an absolute thriller here in Qatar. It was like this in PSGL, like this again in the WR Legacy Division. This is going to be an insane ending to this race. 11.5 seconds the gap. He's closed in 1.3 seconds already on this lap. 1.4 now make that. 11.4 seconds the gap. It was 12.8 at the start of the last lap. So Dirk leading the way. Now closing in about 1.3, 1.4 seconds. And remember, that is only going to extend outwards if you are Dirk in the net race lead. As now Tech is going to go for the race lead on the back of Matteo. Sorry, the net race lead, I should say, potentially, in terms of the back of Matteo. There goes Sam around the outside as well. Sam on the outside line, not getting the move done. And Matteo there in third. Just a little bit of lag spiking, creeping in there once again for the FRT man. But in the end, he's in the net P3. Look at the gap. Already closed down near enough, half a second, just through the first sector alone. Dirk is getting closed in, and he's getting closed in quick.
Yeah, Dirk made a mistake, and I said about squeaky bum time, I think what he's trying to do at the moment is trying to be conservative. It's a mistake from Tech, going around that corner, losing the front ever so slightly, and not able to turn the car in. 10.5 seconds the gap. Remember, 3 seconds is what he needs in order to try and remain in the race lead, a race win rather. 6 laps to go in this race. He needs to hold on for around about 1 second a lap still. So you know what? It might be cutting down the gap at the moment between Tech and Matteo, but whilst they're battling it out between each other, switching positions and not really working with each other, as it stands so far, Dirk has still got probably a delta of around about half a second.
He has, and the gap's 10.4 seconds now coming through, and again, Tech now being in front. Matteo forced them along, and it was a big instant close in terms of the gap. Tech's forcing them along, and they're not really closing in that quick. So the longer that Tech stays out there in front of Matteo and in front of everyone else, the worse it is for everyone else in behind to try and take this race away. And Gian on the back of Sam down and towards turn number 1. Looks to the outside line. Sam in the end looking to the inside line, and Tech through turn number 1 as well. 10 seconds the gap. 9.9. This gap now beginning to come back down once again. Dirk leading the way. Matteo in second. Tech there in third. Gian and Sam are still side by side. Now coming through the right-hander 4. Into the right-hander turn number 5. And Gian just let him go. Sam through needs into 4th. And there, Gian there in 5th. Frankie saying he hates a Sam Max sandwich. Goodness me. Sam there is stuck in a bit of a train. He's stuck in a bit of a sandwich right now. Tech there in third. Gian in 5th even. And Sam being the mayonnaise filling right in between the bread right now. I think they're down on P4. But move happening further down. Cameron Dowds and Quantum.
Sorry, forgive me. I thought there was a bit of an incident involving Sam, but again, he lagged. So he went off of the circuit and then rejoined perfectly in front of Gian. So Sam, no doubt, is definitely going to be sent to the stewards for his internet connection. And there may be a warning his way, but it's not caused too much of an issue on this occasion. Just embarrassing me in that sort of situation. Matteo is pulling a bit of a large gap at the moment, isn't he, against Tekia? So Matteo just wants to get on with it now. He's had enough of this switch between him and Tech. And it might have just managed to find enough of a gap here that Tech might not be close enough. I wonder here. It's not using overtake. Overtake now being used as it gets closer and closer. Is he going to go for the move potentially to turn one? Is it going to be a late breaker on this occasion? No. He's certainly keeping his options open, but on this occasion, he doesn't go for it. So he is keeping on as even at the moment, as Sam and Gian are definitely getting into a little bit of a scrap, and that move is done. Justin working himself into this battle as well. This is big for BRT. They don't need Justin to make any errors here. No risk is definitely on Justin's mind, as is Sam's as well.
Oh, Sam was
looking for a podium, is now down to 6. Make that 7th as Casper Flash gets the move done, and Sam is trying to hold on around the outside. He will have the inside of the next corner, and will he be able to hold on to the position? He's getting sandwiched ever so slightly, but he will hold on to P6.
And now Cameron Dowds and Casper are side by side as well, coming through the right hander now, turn number 9, through the left hander, turn number 10. Guys in the chat might be right. Dirk's gap, 8.6 seconds. This is enough for him to carry to the end of the race. He is not losing unless his tyres absolutely fall off the cliff or he gets a puncture or something. His tyres are not going to fall off the cliff that enough. Cameron Dowds and Casper Flack side by side. Mubarak and Lafiti take notes because that was clean from Cameron Dowds. Throoni's into 7th. Casper Flack there down in 8th position. 8.6. 8.5, roughly around that. Tech on the back once again and Matteo, but they're really fighting the car aggressively. And the more that these guys fight, the more it lets Dirk get away out in front. Here comes Gia now to the inside line. Down in towards turn 1, could be 3 wide at least. Down in towards turn 1, but in the end, Tech gets the move on the back of Matteo. And in the end, Gian can't find the way through. 8.3 seconds to Dirk. Is he going to hang on out in front? Team TF10 are going to be looking through the fingertips right now of their own fingers right now, and Dirk there leading the way, 8.1 seconds. This gap for me is not coming down.
Yeah, the gap is not coming down, and the reason why is because they're all scrapping with each other. So TF10 thought about it with Dirk. Dirk pitted at the safety car, remember, and then switched back onto the hard tyres that he started on. So technically these are the tyres that he started on, but he does fall in line with the rules by switching onto the medium during the pit stop. So now Dirk is leading the way, the tyres aren't falling off a cliff, and everyone's scrapping with each other. His delta was around about half a second. Now at the moment, you'd have to argue it's somewhere in the region of around 1.5 seconds. His tyres are going to slowly fall off. He's got 3 and a bit laps to go. It will be close, but I think Dirk is now the favourite, and I think that's all because of that overtake from Tech.
And it's all because of the aggressive fighting that is going on behind the field as well. This is going to be one mad ending to the race right now. Dirk leading the way, 7.9 seconds. The gap's only come down half a second. It's only come down half a second right now. And now Gian and Matteo are going to fight. They're going to fight on the back of Tech down and towards turn 1. They're just playing a little bit of game right now. And they can't find the way doing through. And Dirk and now in towards turn 1. Job done for Gian. Shooting to the inside line. Matteo was spun. Matteo was round coming through turn 1. He gets the car back going again. But he's forfeiting so many positions. Great news if you're Dirk. Good bad news if you're anybody else right now. Dirk leading the way. 7.9 seconds the gap. Lap 27 out of 29. Coming around the outside on Sam. Looking to get the move done through turn number 6. Forced out wide. Sam on the inside line and just about avoid each other. Cameron Dowds through his intervention. Jeswell and Casper Flack going in for each other. And now it's all about to cause absolute carnage in behind.
Yeah, CPI now in 8th and 9th at the moment. FRT will be telling Sam. Absolutely no risk. Wide going through there. Unbelievable.
Never gonna work, never, ever, ever gonna work. Casper Flack, Quantum, and I think in the end, that might have been Belby and all of that as well in the Mercedes. All of that spawning from absolutely nothing in the end, and there were 3 wide coming through turn number 7. You must be causing suicide, quite literally, if you try to go 3 wide through there, let alone 2 wide. Dirk still leads the way. Gian in 2nd, Tech there in 3rd. What that does open up is the chance now for these guys to try and close in. But with 2 laps to go, right now, Dirk is looking good. How is his tyres looking right now on this sort of hard compound of tyres? They are looking good, but I'd say that rear left could be the one for concern as Brando goes side by side, but Sam gets the move done into 300% to 6.
Yeah, his rear left is looking probably the most sort of scary, but honestly, his tyres don't actually look too bad. It's ERS management that he's got to consider here, because he's got to try and maximise every corner he can. 40% ERS. Guillen at the moment is pushing so hard to try and get within that 3-second gap. The delta for Dirk at the moment is around about 2 seconds. He can afford to lose about 2 seconds and still win this race despite the penalty. Belbelbe, 3 seconds worth of penalties for multiple track excursions. Sam and Justin, both of them are being told absolutely no risk whatsoever in their racing. Sam stays up in P6, Brando into 5th, Cameron Dow's only big points for Team Shazoo, but it's all about that battle between Guillen and Tech at the moment. Is Tech going to go for that move?
Watch out for that gap, though, between first and second, because that gap is coming down quick now. 5.9 seconds the gap. It's 2.9, really, for Guillen to try and close in on Dirk. Is that going to be enough, though, for him to close in? Probably not, coming through this part of the track. Dirk through the final corner, about to go on the final two of the Lusail International Circuit. He's just got to keep it within the white lines and off the curbs, I think, quite literally, in terms of him. 5.7 seconds. Tech now going for the move on to Guillen. Needs to try and find something. They need to work together. Cameron Dowds, Guillen, Tech, all need to work together to try and get a result out of this race. The gap is now closing down once again. 5.3 seconds. 5.2. I did warn you that this was going to happen. And Dirk now, all of a sudden, is beginning to tread on thin ice. And it's 5.1 seconds. He needs to find Tech.
He's punctured. Top left corner, it's gone pop. And Dirk is out of this race. He's got an absolute awful blowout on the front left. And on the final lap of this race, now it's all down to the front guys. They've got to run riot. Here we go.
And now it all changes. The complexion of this race changes with one punctured tyres. Now they come through the left-hand with turn 8 and 9. And I did say this could happen, and it has. Cameron Dowds on the back of Tech now. You've got to feel sorry for Dirk. But if you're Cameron Dowds, Tech or Guillen right now, you'll be absolutely loving life at this moment in time. Cameron Dowds on the back of Tech, looking now in towards turns 12, 13 and 14. This is now game time for Team Shazoo against the BRT man of Tech. And now has Tech got all the Techers to try and pull off the impossible with Cameron Dowds and Guillen right up his backside. Coming through the left-hander at 15 and Guillen picks up a 3-second penalty. Cameron Dowds looks at lunging around the outside, tries to get the switch back coming out of the corner. Might get the one on the line. Tech's got the move, surely. Cameron Dowds comes. Tech wins by 400ths of a second. Cameron Dowds in the end comes up short, and in the end, if that start-finish line was not short, he would have got that just 50 yards longer. Tech wins from Cameron Dowds in second, Brando in the end is P3, Guillen in the end P4 with a 3-second penalty, which could potentially be removable. But in the end, Tech wins after very much misfortune from Dirk. You've got to feel sorry for him. He did everything right until the final lap of the race where his tyres punctured. Absolute credit where credit's due, gets the line down in P19. But in the end, Tech wins. Cameron Dowds would have wanted 50 yards longer in that race for him to win.
Oh, Dirk, I was on board with him and I saw the tyre and it didn't even slowly deflate. It just went pop and off that tyre went and it's straight into the gravel. And what should have been probably an absolute magical performance from the likes of Dirk to try and get those hard tyres all the way to the end has resulted in BRT taking the race win tonight. And BRT taking the race win means we have our first team to actually score a second win this season. Their first win coming in Singapore. Of course, the other driver getting a DNF in that particular race, but they will take a big chunk of points, 22 points behind CPI going into this race, and with those chunk of points that is going to be massive. Shazoo earning big with Cameron Dowds, TRT earning much with 3 and 4 with Brando and Guillen, and then of course big points haul, and this is pending any potential penalty removals, the likes of FRT 6th and 8th. That's a massive points haul for the Williams outfit as well. And TTM have lost out big time, haven't they, with Mubarak down only in 9th place. And of course we need to see if that 10-second penalty gets removed from Mustache, but as it stands so far, the second driver hasn't even scored a point.
And out of all of that racing that went on out on track, how the hell has Uppbeat finished 5th? He had pedal issues. Yeah. He had COVID. He's got COVID. And he's finished 5th in a race in Qatar. That is how mad this race was. Quite literally incredible racing out on track. Race of the season for sure so far, and it's going to be very tough, I think, to top that, definitely. But in the end, takes the race win, takes a good amount of points for BRT. But in the end, Team Shazoo, CPI's downfall here tonight is Team Shazoo's dominance, because I think we'll get confirmation, but off my calculations, just from my head, Team Shazoo take the championship lead back off CPI.
Yeah, I believe that will be the situation. We'll double check on that one as and when those points get added in, but I think that is exactly as it will add up. I know BRT are definitely going to be earning big here tonight, and I think they may be just taking P2 off of CPI, maybe just behind CPI and P3 if my math works out right. But we'll see as and when we get those results coming in, but we just need to take a minute to just appreciate TF10 Dirk. I am so sorry, Dirk, that you did not manage to get that to work, because you absolutely deserve that race victory just for how well you managed those hard tyres. I popped a chat in there in the Discord to say so unfortunate, and where everyone else would usually take the mick and have a bit of banter, there are genuinely people that are feeling so sorry for Dirk, because he absolutely managed that hard tyre so well, and it was just, 7 or 8 corners away from victory. Oh, how unfortunate.
And I'm imagining his tyres would have been, 85, 90%, probably even a little bit
like
more
that.
than that. It was so unfortunate. And that's just how the game goes. Matthias there in the chat saying they have to change the system for punctures. 83% is what he was on. 83% is the percentage of tyres that he was on when his tyre punctured. And it was the front left that went in the end. And it's the front left that takes the bear load. I was concerned about the rear left. I think I mentioned that in commentary. I was concerned about the rear left. But in the end, 83% for people that wants to know. And just a bit of comparison, actually, that Dirk's just throwing in here on the Discord. In GTI, which is another team event, 6 people made it on 90%. So that is just how the rub of the green goes sometimes in sim racing. Sometimes you get luck, sometimes you don't. And unfortunately for Dirk, he doesn't get luck. And in the end, 83% in terms of puncture territory, pretty average, I think, in terms of recent game cycles in F1. But in the end, you have to feel sorry for him. There is just what words I think fail to sum up. I think it's probably how his emotions are, how Team TF10's emotions are as well right now. Because up until that final lap of the race, and up until he punctured, he drove a perfect race, and nobody would have stopped him. Has Joshua got on mute? Or has he gone? I think he might have gone. I'm not sure what's he's taking a break, I think. But there we are. We'll have a look at the calendar though, going into the final couple of rounds of this championship. And final couple of rounds we still got. Round 6 to go in Saudi Arabia. Then it's a break week, which is very good for us. And then we go into the second quarter of the season. And Saudi Arabia is, of course, that track next week for Jeddah, which is going to be hard. It's going to be a really interesting race. If it's anything like EML, it's going to be absolute chaos around there. Let's see, though, what can happen around Saudi Arabia. Because if Qatar's anything to go by, Jota, it is going to be really intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, Saudi Arabia usually brings, obviously, the thing is Saudi Arabia is that it can bring out the best or it can bring out the worst in drivers, can't it? Because it's such a tightly compact circuit. You could be absolutely on the limit on a lap and show why you are a #1 driver in the world. But at the same time, you could really be in there and you could put someone in a wall like that and be, make yourself look like a real fool. So that is going to be a spectacular event ahead of us. But Qatar always brings drama, doesn't it? And that is just unbelievable. So looking that forward, if TF10 do not field Dirk next week for any kind of ramification off the back of that, I'll be really surprised, because you know what a performance from Dirk. I really feel for him.
Yeah, Flopman complaining to Luke Humphreys that they should never put this track in a WOR league again. So, Flopman wasn't racing, first and foremost, so he can speak, quite literally, I think. But what we can focus on, rather than Flopman's comments there in the Discord, is Saudi Arabia, of course. Round number 6 in Jeddah. You said there quite very well, I think, in terms of summing up. You can normally have one or two things that go on around Saudi Arabia. You could get a potential race of the season candidate, or you could get all hell breaking loose. And I have a feeling, with how these guys approach Qatar, it's going to be the latter rather than the former. I think
Yeah.
all hell is going to break loose. And are we going to see potentially the likes of Team Shazoo getting up there as well? Because I know in the past Tom Roberts has raced around there, has been very consistent. Cameron Dowd has raced around there, being very consistent. Are we going to see the same thing once again from Team Shazoo? Obviously, leading the championship coming, I think, into next week. And in fact, the standings have just been done, so I'll double check this now. But for Jeddah, it could be one of those two things. It could be race of the season, or it could be all hell breaking loose. And I think it's going to be the
Yeah.
latter.
Yeah, Team Shazoo leading the championship then going into this one. Bearing in mind, Team Shazoo yet still to win a race this season are now leading this championship with 4 second places throughout this season so far. BRT are now second with that race victory, 6 points in front of the original leaders going into this race. CPI now in third. TTM falling off a cliff a little bit, 41 points down, 131 currently. TRT, after a decent result, now only 2 points behind TTM and now welcoming themselves into this particular championship battle. And ETA 2 points away from breaching into the 100. So as it stands so far, still 5 teams that could really be in there at the moment, but starting to see a little bit of a gap form between the top 3 and the rest of the field.
You've got to think as well, actually, looking at the provisional standings, we've got 12 points separating the top 3 teams going into next week provisionally, and I will add provisionally, in Saudi Arabia, which I think is absolute pure madness. And I think it just comes to show the level of competitiveness I think that we've had, not only in Legacy Division this season, but in other seasons gone by as well. I mean, I ended up coming in here midway through, I think, season 2, if I'm not mistaken, and the racing round there was absolutely top notch. It was Talent Factory, PSR, whatever you like to call them from season 2, battling those. Then it was F7R, of course, in season 3. And then season 4 and 5 have just gone from strength to strength. So in the end, I think the competitiveness and the consistency as well, I think, is what is needed to wrap up a championship like this. Gone are the days of FRA going by 200 points and leading the championship and having Otis Sloan to their absolute goats. Those days are gone. Everyone now is competitive. Everyone now is around the same place and the same pace as well, which I think is very good because we've got, 18 rounds after Saudi Arabia? So, as I alluded to at the start of the stream, anything can happen in Formula One, and it usually does.
Yeah, it certainly usually does indeed as well. So we've got plenty of racing yet ahead of us as well, of course, with those, I think it's 19 rounds actually, when we incorporate Saudi Arabia from next week. But as it stands as well, just to sort of round off the standings, if we're going to look at anyone outside of the what would be considered championship contention at the moment, Novus Racing are in 7th on 75. TF10, really unfortunate to only be on 66, considering that they really should have been up at the front with Dirk. And then FRT had a really good points haul with 6th and 8th, but still 9th on 51. EVE rounding out the teams in 10th on 40. Really unfortunate for EVE as well, actually, because that Lafiti crash was a very odd one. And to be fair, Bell Belby, I think, had a bit more pace in him than 13th, but just the sheer velocity of the entire scenario meant that he just unfortunately wasn't able to make the inroads that I think we possibly could have seen from him. But as I said, though, as it stands provisionally, BRT, the first team this season to finally have a second win on the board. But so far, Team Shazoo are the ones leading this championship without a win to their name.
Yep, and in the end, you've got to be consistent and you've got to be up there. I think overall as a team to be right up there in the standings, and that's what Team Shazoo have shown right now. Leonard, by the way, from Team TF10 put in the manager's chat, and this was about 2 minutes before Dirk's puncture. Pens removable. And he ended up in P19 in that race. So that just comes to show the downfall, I think, in the end that Dirk had. But in the end, stunning drive from Tech. Take nothing away from him wrapping up this race win. But Cameron Dowd would have been wanting that 25, 50 yards longer, that start-finish line, and he would have got him. Definitely with that run coming out through the final corner, and the DRS and everything was on his side. But in the end, Tech won. BRT's second win of the season, with Joe Murphy, of course, wrapping up, I think, in Singapore. We go to Saudi Arabia next week. Please tune in. 7:15 UK time, of course, for us in WR Legacy Division. But if you're not a fan of WR Legacy Division, and I think after that race, why wouldn't you be? Have a look at what we've got to come up, of course, for Season 19 of WOR console side as well. And we start on Halloween. Halloween is coming in China, apparently, according to this calendar anyways. But it is China.
That sentence.
It is China, round 1 of the championship. November 1st, by the way, for console tier 1. So if you do want to tune in for that, you can do. So a couple of weeks. Sign-ups, I believe, are still open, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Placements will be done very, very shortly indeed as well. So get your sign-ups in if you haven't done already. It is a packed full calendar. Some of your favourites in there, like Singapore, Las Vegas, Great Britain. Rounding off, Britain on my birthday, by the way, is very neat. And of course, before that is the PC side as well. They start a little bit later, in fact, in November. November 11th for the United States Grand Prix Round 1. They miss out China. China runs are round 7 for January the 6th. So you can tune in for that, of course. That is all on Mondays. And PC Tier 1 currently going on out on track as well. Tom Manley and Brandon Lee, I believe, fighting out for that PC Tier 1 title right now, going into the final couple of rounds of the season. But my voice is going, Jota needs to lie down. We're going to end it off here. Thank you so much for watching WOR Legacy Division. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe. Take that notification bell if you are brand new to the channel. We are going to see you same time, same place, in Saudi Arabia next week, 7:15. Tune in. Dare not tune out, because it's going to be one of the races of the season next week. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.